It was just a matter of time before I was found out. The apple may not have fallen far from the tree, but I was certainly no lawyer. A name? I had to give her a name, or the jig was up, something she could hang her hat on. It's Vice, Vice, baby. It's Vice, Vice, baby.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Oh, it is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday. Hello, Dodo, David, Denise, good morning. Ellie, how are you doing? Much love to you, too. Swan Lake Lady, howdy. Zombie, I was doing. Wow, that was a sentence. How is it going, good sir? I'm doing great. Happy hump day to you all. Indeed, indeed. My cat is going crazy because my door's closed. Sweetfly, good morning. And Angela, just in time. Good morning. Hey from Thursday? Well, hey from still Wednesday. Ah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you've tuned into my morning driving stream, Crimson Queen, good morning. Hello. How are you doing? It's been a while. So if you guys have tuned into my morning stream, then you guys would have, you guys know that I had said I ordered a power cord for the soundboard that I have. And guess what? It works. The problem, however, we have a problem. I can seem to have uh these sounds right here, little buttons. It will not pick up on OBS, which is the program I'm using to stream. So, I'll have to figure that out, and then I'll be able to start using it. So, I will probably contact someone for that. I hope everyone can hear me well. I messed with some stuff before I hit live. So I hope everyone can hear me well. Please let me know in chat. Good morning, Jules. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So, but yeah, indeed. Indeed, indeed. Well, since yeah, well, I hope my voice isn't all. Give me a shout later. I can tell what you need to do, brother. It's all about the monitor channel on the mixer. Gotcha. Okay. I'll definitely hit you up, Tomby. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. And Clara, good morning. A little more volume would help me. Really? Wow, my on here it's just all being all maxed out. So, uh, let's see. I hate my cat. Have I already told you guys that? I hate my cat. I do not like him. Once. Okay, that's better. Na, 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 na. Let's put you to that. Okay. Call me Gohan. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so I would like to start this off with a little poll. How about that? So I'm going to start a poll. What's the poll for, you ask? Well, ladies and gentlemen, last night I was going through my dad's emails, just cleaning it out, because I got a notification saying that his little storage space. That's what it's called. This storage space was running out. So I was just going through his emails, like deleting old ones that he doesn't need anymore. Well, he doesn't need any of them, but you know what I mean. Deleting older ones. But I found a particular email that was in his drafts. It was kind of interesting. I read it, and it was very interesting read. He wrote down a little story, if you will, about his experience with his second motorcycle accident he had. So, the poll will be a little simple yes or no. If you guys would like to hear the story that he wrote out, or no. And I'll have to tell you, it's pretty much in detail. Like I could feel the pain and frustration he had. So let me make a poll real quick. Hmm, I see people saying yes already, but hey. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this poll running pretty much for the duration of this Maritime Monday video. So, thank you, Emil. Welcome to the Vice Squad. I appreciate the support. We love to, we love to chill, hang out, play games, be chaotic every once in a while, but most importantly, we love to enjoy each other's company. Welcome to the Vice Squad. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Clara, be careful, Connor. Haven't you seen or heard all the horror tales of cats attacking, murdering, eating their victims many times its owner? Well, I know that's gonna not gonna happen with this cat. I'll tell you that. Yes, 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 yes. Da 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 da. Stupid da da da. Read it. Da 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 da. Did you like the song Shizzy used for becoming a member? Oh yeah, oh yeah. I love, I love all of Shizzy's music. He's freaking talented. Okay, well, today today's video is la la la. Oh, also, I did press every single button on that soundboard, and yes, it put a little smile on my face because it was funny. Gave me the tickle. Um, uh, excuse me. Good morning, Alan. How are you doing, sir? Okay. So today's video is Maritime Monday, massive pier explosions, and spacecraft launching. Maritime Monday video number 9 that we're going to watch today. I'm going to skip ahead through these countdowns that we don't need and switch the screen like so. Awesome. Okay. Get rid of unnecessary notifications. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. I will be muting myself and I'll say hello, goodbye to people that are coming in and going. I will unmute myself and put in my little own comments here and there whenever I feel necessary. But right before we start it, very one last announcement. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. If you already are subscribed, please double check that you still are because YouTube can be asshole and delete you off the subscription list. So please double check that and then hit the bell notification so you can get all the notifications if YouTube decides to send it out of every posts, videos, or lives I do. So, without further ado, let us start the show. Well, before that, let me unmute the desktop. Hey, let's do that. Okay, maybe? Would this work? No, that did not work. Oh, jeez. Why did I mess with stuff? Frickin' buttons. Would this work?
Hey, how are we doing? Wait a minute. My phone is.
And also, please let me know if the audio is good with the video, and I'll adjust it as necessary. One stream you should do a ship chord. Count the number of times your dad says ship. Gotcha. You count the number of times he says semen.
Hey, there we go. Hi. I did turn off YouTube on my phone. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Legal Vices. It's Monday. It's Maritime Monday again. It's the time we look into maritime accidents and maritime related accidents. And we sort of do whatever else happens to be relevant at the moment, which, as most of you know, is the Artemis 1 missile launch. Missile, fuck me. Sorry, my mind is a little bit wandery today. I got to bring it in the the Artemis 1 rocket launch. As we as NASA
It's quiet. Oh, okay. And Jeff is also glitchy. Oh, yeah, okay. That just did not work. Hello, Uncle Buck. Welcome. And you. Okay, that didn't work as well. Jeez, I shouldn't have pressed all the buttons and messed with stuff. Jesus. Okay. Boop. I'm gonna.
get going back.
I know what the problem is. God, I'm so stupid. Jesus. Angela, thank you for the 10 New Zealand dollars. Tea money instead of energy drink. Lol, I guess it's better if you. Better for you, but get either. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the 10 New Zealand dollars super chat. I appreciate you. Didn't you just get mentally spit roasted by this point? I don't know. I don't know, and I kind of don't want to know. Oh, Mary Jane, you're not late. You're actually just in time. I just barely started. Have some audio issues, so hey, you're just in time. It's okay.
To the moon. As NASA decides to try to make another crack at going back to the moon. So I've got the I've got the screen here. I'm monitoring it. We'll go live to the rocket launch if and when it happens. They're on an unscheduled delay right now. There's a problem with the core of one of the rockets. Uh, they said that they are looking at a plan on moving forward, and there should be some new information in about 10 minutes. So I'll update you as information there becomes available. I said I've got it. I've got it here. I'm looking.
Jim, hello, hello. You know what NASA stands for, right? I did at one point.
Looking at it. I'm watching it, and we'll let things. Oh, here we go. The launch director is consulting with the members of her team. Still waiting for the cryo team to report out. And they should be back in about 10 minutes. The reason my mind is kind of wandery today is because Korea. Uh, Korea is a bit iffy today. Sometimes it's a good, convenient place. Sometimes it's not very convenient. Today is one of the days is not very convenient. The battery on my Jeep is dead, deader than a doornail. I need a new battery. I needed a new battery last Saturday, but for some reason here in Korea, the Jeep service, well, I should say here in Busan, because in other cities it's not the same. The Jeep service center here in Busan, and there's one Jeep service center for a city of 5 million people, plus the outlying areas. One service center, and they're not open on the weekends. So I can't just go and pop in and buy a new battery on Saturday because they're not closed. So the Jeep stayed in the office all weekend. Get there today, call them up, and what do they tell me? Gee, uh, sorry, we can't bring it. You're going to have to tow your Jeep to us to get the battery changed. I said, well, first of all, it's ridiculous that I have to tow my Jeep a good, 6, 7 miles, about 10 kilometers to get the battery replaced. So, Dad, don't you have like a service that will come out and bring me a battery and do it? No, you have to come here yourself or bring the Jeep here for us to do it. Well, the problem there is that their service center hours are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which coincidentally is exactly the times that I'm in my office. So, yeah. I called the insurance roadside service today, and they came out and they got the Jeep started. They got just enough juice for the.
Mm, okay. Let's let's fix this video issue. I don't know if it's on his end or if it's my end. Mary Jane, don't ask those kind of questions. And don't look it up, please, for your own sanity. Okay, you guys will see the Lego for a bit and my hands as well, while I fix this thing. Because I'm wondering if it's his end or my end that's doing it. I know Uncle Buck said it, but don't stop. Okay, so the video chopping it's all on his side. So it's blame it on Dad for all the choppy video stuff, because as the video goes on, it'll get better. Um, Don't people in Korea have jump their cars? Uh, yeah. Isn't it a spit the thing you put through something to cook or fire? Yeah. Okay, Mary Jane. Oh, hello, Flux. How are you doing? Mm, okay. It's about where we were. So, okay, let's get back.
My office. So yeah, I called the insurance roadside service today, and they came out and they got the Jeep started. They got just enough juice for the engine to turn over, and it's like 3 kilometers. It's like an hour. It was like a mile and a half, almost 2 miles from my office to my home. Went straight home. Just sat in the parking lot for 45 minutes, letting the engine run, trying to charge up the battery. Turned it off, tried to turn it back on, battery's dead, it's not holding a charge, need the battery. So now I'm in a situation where I've got to find a battery, then I've got to figure out how to get there, when to get there. And because a Jeep is US standard measurements and I only have metric ratchets and tools, I got to get the tools to do it. So that's why I was just a little bit frazzled there coming in. But now that I've got that out of my system, I think we're good. How are you all? How are you all doing? It's just these little tiny things that just drive me crazy about this place. All in all, it's a beautiful, wonderful, relaxing, very, very convenient place to live. But sometimes it's just not. and and now is one of those not times. All right, with that out of the way, welcome everyone. I know we've all got our problems and things, and in the whole grand scheme of possible problems in life, that's not a big problem. It's a minor annoyance that has just gotten
Hello, Tamara. Just in time.
out of control because changing a battery on your car shouldn't take 4 or 5 days. It really shouldn't. Okay. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning in Florida. I know some of you in the stream live actually pretty close to the rocket launch site. You've sent me pictures to Twitter, and I've seen comments here. Um, I'm watching it here. It's 9:08 p.m. in Korea. And welcome to the mods. Mods, it's great to see you all here. Alan, Rose, Steph, my super mods, you're all here. Who else we got? Kitty Cat. Hey, welcome. Good morning and evening to you too. All right. We're streaming through here. Oh, and Flux has started us off with a super chat. Happy Monday, LV. As always, pants are a prison. Yes, they are. As always, at least until it gets a little bit chilly in the winter, then the updates. And we'll keep watching this because this is a pretty historic moment. And we can always go back and do these maritime videos at another time. But I really need to stop talking with my hands because that's about the fourth time I've hit the microphone today. So we'll cut away to the NASA stuff if and when there are any big developments or if they decide to go ahead with the launch and we get close to the launch time. Until then, we'll just kind of continue down the road here with Maritime Monday. And to bring us up to speed on Maritime Monday, as I said, that's where we just look at the accidents and whatnot that are going on. We're going to be looking at some major explosions today. One of them was in the 1940s out of Texas. These are all pier explosions, by the way. Explosions either happened on board vessels at piers or on the piers themselves. There was a huge explosion in Tianjin, China, a couple of years ago, and then when was it? It was at the end of 2020. 2021, there's the gigantic explosion in Beirut. Those are the three things that we're going to be looking at today. And as well as like a bonus little episode for a case that I'm involved in. So we'll keep the eye on NASA. We'll go ahead and do this and proceed as normal. What do we got coming up? Coming up this week, tomorrow's is a very interesting day. So put this down on your calendars as well. We'll be talking about the police use of force, when it's justified, when it's not justified, what happens when it comes to a decision to whether or not to prosecute an officer for, I guess, going above and beyond the normal bounds of force, where it would be, assault or whatever, or manslaughter, or possibly even murder, depending on what the outcome is. So, it's that decision whether or not to prosecute police officers. And we'll be having a very special guest. We'll be joined by Danny On. I don't know if any of you remember Danny On from an earlier stream we did a couple of months ago. Danny On is a candidate for Salt Lake County District Attorney. She's up for election in November. She's one of the two candidates for the position of Salt Lake County, Utah District Attorney. She's running against Sim Gill, who's a prosecutor, the district attorney who's been there, and he has come under a lot of fire lately for delaying decisions on whether or not to prosecute police officers, delaying decisions whether or not to pursue DV charges against spouses, or grape investigations. Some of his cases have been open for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and even 9 years. And there was just a decision that came down in Salt Lake County the other day where Sim Gill decided not to prosecute an officer for allegedly improperly shooting someone, a mentally disturbed person who had a weapon. But we'll look into it. It was a very, very controversial shooting 4 years ago, and he just decided a couple of days ago not to pursue charges against the officer. We'll look at that. We'll break that down with Danny on here, and we'll also look at another incident that is currently in the news in Salt Lake City.
Been there, done that. Welcome, welcome. Important question: is Nutella sandwich between two slices of bread count as sandwich? If you want it to be, sure.
A man who was intoxicated and or having a mental episode was taken down by police officers, and he passed away shortly thereafter. Not sure whether he passed.
Holy shit! I was muted the whole time. Uh, Mary Jane Connor, I missed your driving, and I was drunk and watched it, and I wanted to say I love you, baby Connor. Well, I love you too. Thank you for watching. I think it does count. So, okay.
Passed away at the scene or shortly thereafter at the hospital. But we'll be looking at body cam footages from that incident from several different officers. We'll be looking at the news stories, and a lot of bias and a lot of what I think is misreporting. And we'll also be talking about updates in the Arkansas police beating video that we saw last week and was making news last week. So we'll be looking at what I personally consider to be maybe an unjustified shooting by the Salt Lake County police, Salt Lake City police officer. One that I just don't understand what the uproar is about, because to me it looks like the police did everything correctly. And you can all be the judge of that by looking at the body cam footage and considering the requirements that the Salt Lake Police Department has for use of force and de-escalation. And we'll be talking more about the Arkansas incident, which to me, I'm still trying to be open-minded, but it's seeming less and less likely that it was a justified beatdown of a guy. So as I said, we'll look at those three things, and we'll be talking about them together with Danny On, who is the Salt Lake County District Attorney candidate running against the incumbent, and she'll have a lot of insight on that, I think, and she'll be bringing her own ideas and opinions on those issues. Wednesday, Johnny Depp was back in the news big time with with the Video Music Awards, MTV Music Video Awards last night. If you haven't seen that, go check out the. I'm sure it's all over YouTube, all over Twitter. He did some funny stuff. That was great to see. We'll be doing the interview that the Beverly Hills Bar Association did with Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez. Just a lighthearted. Sometimes we just need to have good news. We just need to have feel good streams.
Mary Jane. I'm drunk. Please don't get creeped out. I'm just feeling very affectionate, Connor. Also, I got my period today, honey. I'm not. I'm not in menopause. Well, it's okay. It's okay. We still welcome you. Danny has opinions. Well, apparently she does, David. She does.
And that's what that will be. We'll do that on Wednesday. Thursday, we're looking at the opening arguments in the O.J. Simpson trial. We'll be looking at the prosecutor's opening statements, and then as we go on, we'll look at the defense opening statements. We'll look at some of the key arguments. We'll look at the infamous glove incident, and we'll look at the closing arguments in that case. But we'll start Thursday with reviewing the opening statements for the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. And you can compare and contrast that with how televised opening statements are given these days. The O.J. Simpson trial, it wasn't the first trial to be televised, but it was the one that created this industry of court TV, and the increase in popularity of the court shows. They gave birth to this genre of court TV, essentially. So we'll be looking into that. Friday is the double Fuck It Friday stream, the F It Friday stream, where I just grift like a mofo. You throw $100 shots at me. For $100, that gives you a shot. You get to dictate what particular brand of rot gut whiskey I have on hand that I take a shot of, and it gets you a super chat as well. It's just a pure fun grift stream. And while we're doing that, we'll be doing the Unexplained, our weekly Unexplained with Fair and Balanced. She'll be on the channel because we're talking about space related things this week with the Artemis 1 launch. We'll be talking about unexplained space related incidents, not necessarily aliens, but bases on the moon, astronauts, several astronauts that have expressed their belief in extraterrestrial life, that have seen unexplained things in space, that are involved in particular mysteries. We'll be talking about that, and then we'll be talking about some other fun stuff. So join in Friday for the F It Friday drunk stream. Throw your shekels, dollars, pounds, and coins at me. Get me liquored up, and enjoy the stream with Farron and Balance's Eye as we talk about the mysteries and unexplained events in space. All right, we've got 100 people here now, 72 likes. That looks like a great place to start our show. I was just waiting for the 10-minute update from NASA. It didn't come. So we're going to start with a lively little episode that took place a week ago. This particular case is only 1 week ago. It involves a 39-meter super yacht. It's called My Saga. The yacht sank off the coast of Italy a week ago. It was built in 2007, so as far as yachts go, it's a pretty new yacht. And it's flagged in the Cayman Islands, which is a very, very, very common place for yachts to be flagged. We call it a flag of convenience, where they've got good insurance law, good registration laws, and you don't have a lot of requirements for owning a boat. It's literally a place to conveniently register your ship. Well, what happened here was the ship just kind of started to take on water. They sent the port authority. They sent a message to the port authority. They're in Italy saying that they were taking on water. And it was kind of starting to list a little bit to starboard. It was tilting a little bit to right. All right, we've got another NASA update. T-minus 40 minutes in holding. And they are still working on troubleshooting a plan for engine number 3. It's apparently they have some hydrogen or oxygen that's bleeding from the engine, and they're trying to assess that. The engineers are on scene, they're discussing it and trying to develop a plan. More on that later as things progress. So back to our friendly neighborhood super yacht. It's taking on water. It's starting to list to starboard, starting to tilt to the right. They send out a mayday to the Coast Guard. They send out saying, "Hey, we're taking on water. We need a tow." Tugboat shows up and they start towing the super yacht towards shore, but then the weather conditions got bad. And what was already starting as a slight list to starboard became a very, very bad list to starboard. And then this happened. Let's bring up the video to see and witness the last few moments of the good ship, My Saga. Here we are. Oh, wow. All righty then. Let's why is it not letting me increase the size? There we go. So this is a $42 million yacht. You're witnessing the death of a $42 million yacht off the coast of Italy. Goodbye, ship. That I can't imagine how much that would suck to have invested $42 million into something like that and just watch it slowly sink to the bottom of the ocean. So you can see where it's just taking on the water. And that's the unfortunate thing. Once something starts taking on water like this, unless you can seal it off, it just starts taking on more and more water. And then we'll just watch it die one more time.
Yeah, better than that. It was a $42 million yacht, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
Then the investigation starts.
I also just noticed, why is he so high up? Let me move me higher up. There you go. Now I'm not blocking anything.
Then the insurance adjusters come. Well, that's sad. That was a $42 million ship that just went down. All right. I just wanted to bring that to you because that was brand new news. Like I said, it was happened 6 days ago, I believe. So cheers to that ship. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what I'm into tonight, it's the Yellow Rose American whiskey from Texas. Cheers to the saga that is no longer here. So, all right. That was the lighthearted part of the day. Now we're going to get into some pretty significant tragedies. And before
Mary Jane, if it's like any other day, I think Sea Winterstorm is watching Karen Reed.
we get into that, I just wanted to say, hey, again, to everybody that's here, shout out to you. We have 127 people here right now, 90 likes. So get in there, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. That lets YouTube know that you like what's going on. And also, it lets me know that you like what's going on. And YouTube is apparently still purging subscribers, so double check to make sure you're still subscribed if you already have been subscribed, because it's dropped a significant amount all at once, like within an hour. 20 subscribers just disappeared for no apparent reason. So, yeah, look into that. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Hit the like button, hit the notification button. And as we go through this, particularly with the rocket launch, particularly with these incidents, if there's a question you have, if there's something you want to say, if you want to get your opinion out there, if you want to get your views out there and make sure that it's addressed and read and answered by me, the best way to do that is the super chats.
Hello, lady on the sky. I just caught up to life. Hey, hey, hey. Hi, hi. Excuse me. Wow. That was unexpected. See what is a trader. I'm gonna wonder at what point the ship doing the towing decided to cut the rope and let it go. Well, when they determined, you know what, this isn't worth it. It's already gone. At that point, they probably cut the rope.
Feel there is no minimum, there's no requirement you do it to get a question answered. There's no minimum amount of super chat you have to do that. I don't play that game. If you want to do it, it guarantees you'll get your comment, question, or statement addressed. Otherwise, I try to keep my views on the chat as much as possible, but I'm not always able to do so. So, super chat if you want to make sure. And then Friday will be the super chat grift day, as we've already said. So, the first case that I want to look at is the case that one of you viewers suggested. I think actually more than one of you did. There was a bunch of fertilizer. Let me bring this up here. Here we are. The fertilizer. I'm going to stop this screen and bring it up in a different screen so where it's easier to deal with. There we go. Boom. All right. This is an explosion that happened in Texas. As it says history here, because it was April 16th, 1947 when this happened.
Hello, Cinder Block for Tires. Welcome, welcome. I was watching Karen movie with Megan. I bailed to come get some Maritime Mondays. Well, welcome in. Appreciate you stopping by. Is Megan doing it alone, or is she doing it with Flux, IT Goatee, and Rosalind again? Because I know she was doing it with Brad, Flux, and Rosalind yesterday.
And what happened is you had fertilizer loaded onto a freighter, the freighter Grand Camp. This is the Grand Camp explosion in Texas City. So those of you that are in Texas may know about this because it was suggested to me by one or two of you viewers. And as it says here, that nearly 600 people lost their lives. The number that I had for this is they estimated up to 600 people, 600 dead, and 4,000 people injured in this particular explosion. So that's a pretty massive explosion. Greg Hansen here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yar, hey, we've got our Polish fisherman captain's hat on. That's what we do on Maritime Monday. Thank you so much for the yar, Greg Hansen. Much appreciated. Piracy is always a good thing. Old school pirates, not the modern like Somalian pirates and things, like good old fashioned R pirates. So, what happened here with this explosion? Ammonium nitrate. And if any of you remember or are familiar with the Oklahoma City bombing that took place in the United States way back in the day, that was ammonium nitrate fertilizer. At the Oklahoma City bombing that took out the federal building there was 5,000 tons of ammonium nitrate. Well, this is a little more significant. Ammonium nitrate was used as an explosive by the U.S. Army in World War II, and after the war ended, production of the chemical continued as its use as a fertilizer became accepted. However, the precautions used in its transport became far more lax in the post war years. On April 16th, the Grand Camp was loaded with ammonium nitrate as well as tobacco and government owned ammunition. Oops. Yeah, it had fertilizer, tobacco, and ammunition. Cigarette smoking, although officially banned, was a common practice by longshoremen on the docks. What could possibly go wrong with explosive fertilizer and ammunition? Well, this is what happened. Just 2 days prior to the explosion, a cigarette had caused a fire on the docks. So there you go. They know there's problems here because it's something that already happened a couple of days before this incident. On the morning of April 16th, smoke was spotted deep within one of the Grand Champ's holds. Some water and an extinguisher were used to fight the fire, but hoses were not employed for fear of ruining the cargo. So, yeah, it's on fire, but they don't want to ruin the cargo, so they don't bring in firefighting hoses. There was already 2,300 tons of the ammonium nitrate loaded on the ship. While the ammunition was removed from the ship, the crew attempted to restrict oxygen to the holds in hopes of putting out the fire. Apparently, they did not realize that because of ammonium nitrate's chemical composition, it does not.
Well, Alan, hope you have fun doing your IRL shit. We'll be here. We'll be here. Alcohol has gluten? Yes, it does. Some do. Depends on what base it is.
Require oxygen in order to burn. So by 9 a.m., flames had erupted from the hold, and within minutes, it exploded. The blast was heard 150 miles away and was so powerful that the ship's 1.5-ton anchor was found 2 miles away. Think about that. A 1.5-ton anchor was blown 2 miles by the force of this explosion. The force.
It's just a small explosion. Not too bad, right? It was only heard, what, 100 and some odd miles away, and anchor was decided to travel 2 miles in the air. Not too big of a explosion, I would say, right?
Force of the explosion lifted another ship right out of the water. People working at the docks were killed instantly. Pieces of flaming debris damaged the oil refineries in the area. A nearby Monsanto chemical storage facility also exploded, killing 234 of the 574 workers there. Nearly all of the survivors were seriously injured. A residential area of 500 homes was also leveled by the blast. Can you imagine the force of that? It throws a 1.5-ton anchor 2 miles. It lifts another ship out of the water. It levels 500 homes. Another ship, the High Flyer, which was carrying similar cargo, was pushed completely across the harbor. The crew fled when it came to rest, failing to notice that a fire had started. And the next day, their ship also exploded. 2 people died. All in all, 581 people died and 3,500 were injured. The explosion caused $100 million in damages. And remember, those are $1947. That would be exponentially more today. So $1947, it caused $100 million in damages. A long disputed court case over the cause of the blast was resolved when Congress granted compensation to 1,394 victims. They received a total of $17 million in 1955, 8 years after the accident. The port was rebuilt to handle oil products only. So that's the news story for this place. That's the news story behind the accident. Now, let's go and take a look at a video. This is an old school video of the explosion. Let me make sure I haven't missed any super chats. Yeah, no, Yar is our last super chat. Cool. All right. So here we have an old video. I guess they were movies back then, old films of the incident. And then we'll take a more in-depth look at the actual accident itself. Oops. Texas explosion.
Desperation, the fire chief called for tugs to tow the ground comp into the bay. It was too late.
Watch this. Watch this explosion. That's from one ship.
The ground comp blew up, mowing down everyone on the wharf.
Jesus.
And scattering debris over a large part of Texas City. Windows were shattered as far as 10 miles away in Galveston. 2 light aircraft flying above the port were also caught in the explosion.
How's that? It took out 2 airplanes. When have you ever heard of that happening? It blows out windows 10 miles away and takes out 2 airplanes.
Their occupants killed. But the situation worsened as the black oily smoke built up over Texas City.
Oof. So that was some video of the explosion itself. These chemicals are serious things. I mean, you think it's just a pile of stuff. It's a pile of chemicals or a tank of chemicals. But once things get out of control, that's one of the problems and one of the high dangers of chemical incidents. A fire, you can try to.
Hello, Soul. The explosion took out my browser tab. Hey, more casualties.
Stop it from burning other things, spraying with water, doing whatever. Each chemical has its own particular properties. And like you said here, the ammonium nitrate, like they said, doesn't need oxygen to burn. So you can't smother the fire. And we all know you don't put water on a grease fire. So every chemical fire has its own way of being put out. And you have to be careful that you don't screw up your efforts to put it out by using something that's just going to make the situation worse. So you have to be very, very careful for these things. And once a chemical fire starts, they are incredibly hard to extinguish. And the explosive potential, I mean, we've just seen it there. But there was a television program that was done in the. Oh, we have more news from NASA. Hang on. Oh, shit.
Has called a scrub of the attempt of launch of Artemis 1 and the Space Launch System with the Orion spacecraft. The issue that came up was an engine bleed that couldn't be remedied, but the rocket is currently in a stable configuration.
Scrubbed,
it was mostly tanked, but not completely tanked. Engineers are now working on a plan to continue gathering data about this particular engine and the bleed that didn't work out. The rocket, the hydrogen bleed rather, was a goal of the previous wet dress rehearsal that didn't happen due to a hydrogen leak. So engineers are focused on gathering as much data as they can at this time. So they have not gone to draining the rocket just yet. They're going to keep it in its current configuration and gather that data. To summarize, we held at T-minus 40 minutes and counting after the team was unable to get past engine bleed that didn't show the right temperature once they got into the engine bleed test.
Well, shoot.
And ultimately, the launch director has called a scrub for the day. The earliest opportunity, depending on what happens with this engine bleed, would be September 2nd. That is available to the launch team. However, we will await a determination of what the plan is to go forward to remedy the engine bleed and then go from there. Again, an availability to launch, the next availability to launch is 12:48 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, September 2nd. But we must wait to see what shakes out from their test data that they're currently gathering now.
That's too bad. I was looking forward to seeing
that's made by the launch team about where to go from here.
All righty, then we'll just we'll leave that at that. The launch has been scrubbed for today. The earliest window is going to be September 2nd. That'll be Friday. So there's a good chance that if they're able to go ahead with it by then, I'll be liquored out of my brain at the end of our Fuck It Friday stream by that point. Yep. So that's unfortunate. But we'll check in Friday during the stream and see what happens then as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get we'll be able to be together when this thing goes up, because that would be fun to watch. And with that out of the way, I guess we don't need to worry about it anymore tonight. That's better safe than sorry. Every one of these, this rocket launch is, they said his costs was at $4.1 billion. So I guess we want to make sure we get it right. We want to make sure we do it properly. Anyway, back to the Texas City disaster. There was a TV series called Survival that was done in the 1960s. And in 1964 and 1965, and they did an episode of this show about the Grand Champ disaster. And so what we're going to look at now is about a 20-minute video, 19-minute video that was from this 1965 television program about the 1947 accident. So the video's not the greatest, the audio's not the greatest, but it's like 50 years old. Well, it's more than 50 years old. It's almost 60 years old. So be a little bit understanding there. And as we go through, if you like this, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, and keep me in mind and hit that notification. Be glad to have you here. Glad to watch you here, and let's go.
We begin in April 1947. A chemical explosion is about to turn Texas City into hell on earth.
This is Texas City, located 10 miles north of Galveston on the shores of Galveston Bay. World War II brought big industry, especially chemicals and oil, made it a boom town. In 5 years, the influx of workers swelled its population from 5 to 18,000. Chief among the industrial plants ringing the harbor, the expanding Monsanto Chemical Company. In 1947, half of the nation's styrene supply comes from this one Texas City plant. 1 mile directly beyond Monsanto is the business district of Texas City. There are 3 main slips in Texas City's busy harbor. Behind them are clustered the tank farms of a number of the nation's most prominent oil companies. On the morning of April 16th, 1947, the center slip berthed two ships. At Pier B, the SS Wilson B. Keene. At Pier A, the SS High Flyer. Separated by 500 feet of warehouses, at Pier O lies a barge. And the French freighter SS Grand Camp.
So, I mean, Texas, back then, Texas was a huge oil place, a huge chemical place, and it still is. It's still one of the leading, if not the leading oil port outside of the Middle East. They do huge amounts of chemicals there, huge amounts of oil. So there's a big history of risk there. And that's why safety is an absolute must. As you can see, the way ports and piers are organized, you have a lot of ships doing a lot of things right next to each other.
This is Ron Stone. A Grand Camp lay across this slip, taking on a cargo of ammonium nitrate, a fertilizer that is good, comparatively inexpensive, and under certain conditions, highly explosive. Just what these conditions are wasn't clear, apparently, to the men aboard the Grand Camp. For instance, though signs prohibited smoking, the warnings were ignored.
Went aboard the ship, and we seen smoke coming up from between the cargo and the side of the ship. They had a water bucket down there they'd been drinking water out of, so I told them to throw the water bucket and everything down there to see if they could put the fire out. Well, it had no effect. So about that time, the crew members started coming down in the hold with fire extinguishers from the ship. Well, it did no good.
Before 8:30, 27 volunteers of the Texas City Fire Department arrive on the dock.
27 firemen are trying to put out a seemingly small. Debbie Livingston said, yeah, the launch of Scrub Front. Yeah, we just talked about that. September 2nd is the next date they'll have available. Whether or not they're able to launch at that point, we'll left to be seen. But yeah, here 27 firefighters are trying to put out this fire on the ship.
Texas City has a new fire engine, and this is its first time out.
Oops.
This is not the first time out for the volunteer firemen, though. Most are expert at extinguishing chemical and oil fires.
Hey, Chris Dahl, welcome. Good to see you.
Hundreds of spectators, attracted by the billowing smoke, begin to pour into the waterfront area.
See, isn't that just the shit? Isn't that just the way we are as people? People driving their cars to get closer to see the smoke and things. This is the 1947 version of the idiots who will stand right next to something really, really dangerous and film it or on their phones. This is them making videos on their phones, the 1947 version. Oh, look, something's going on down at the pier. Let's jump in our car and run down there and get really, really close to it to see what it's all about.
At 8:50, a housewife and amateur movie maker, Mrs. Fred Knappenberger, with her 8mm camera, begins filming the burning ship in the industrial area.
See, this is literally the 1947 version of making videos on your damn phone. She runs down there with her camera to make an amateur video.
Shortly after 9, Mrs. Knappenberger, searching for a better vantage point, drives over to the Texas City dike for an unobstructed view across the water of the burning Grand Camp. The time is 9:12.
This is so it. We literally, this is the same shit we have today. We literally have someone taking a video of someone else taking a video. There you go. And that's, I guess she had the video we just saw. Shame on you, Bob Johnson. Shame on you.
Two explosions only seconds apart go off with the force of the Nagasaki atomic bomb. The first explosion has hurled the Grand Camp's nitrate high in the air over the ship, where it has exploded in an even more devastating blast, smashing everything below and rocking the Gulf Coast for 150 miles.
Can you just imagine the force of that explosion? Just think of everybody. Just think of where you are now. Think what's 150 miles away. What would that be? That would be, I think, about 120 kilometers. Convert 150 miles to kilometers. It's 241 kilometers away. I was just about right. So think of something that's 241 kilometers away from where you are. Think of something that's 150 miles away from where you are. That's like from here almost to Seoul for me. That's almost on the other diagonal corner of the country of Korea from me. And imagine something 240 kilometers or 150 miles away from you exploding and you feeling it. That is a big explosion.
The force of the explosion is detected on a seismograph as far away as Denver.
There you go. Earthquake detecting seismographs picked up this Gulf Coast, this Texas Gulf Coast explosion in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, someone in the chat here was saying the people on the port probably didn't know what hit them. Yeah, if they're feeling the explosion with seismographs in Denver, the people standing on the pier didn't have any clue what happened.
All 27 volunteer firemen were killed instantly, along with many of the spectators.
The
Monsanto plant is leveled. Inside, 227 are killed. Many are decapitated or crushed by flying debris, strangled by poison gases, then swept by fire. Pieces of the Grand Camp weighing tons are found almost a mile away. Warehouses, pipelines, concrete walls have been ripped apart and hurled through the air like so many cardboard toys. The barge moored next to the Grand Camp is tossed 200 feet across land into a parking lot.
God dang. The barge ends up in a parking lot across the pier. Now, James says that's a fuel air bomb right there. Exactly. That's one thing they just mentioned. The ship exploded. The ammonium nitrate gases go up into the air and then reignited. Gah. I mean, vicious, vicious bomb. Ugh.
And the parking lot itself has been turned into a junkyard. Even a light airplane flying over the scene has been blasted out of the sky.
God.
Almost every house within a 1 mile radius of the explosion has collapsed, and virtually every window is shattered for 2 miles.
So yeah, that's exactly what Tweety Kid just said here in chat. The air concussion must have been deadly too. It's shattered almost every window within 2 miles, and they said they were breaking windows up to 10 miles away. So that'd be what, 16 kilometers, something like that. Damn.
As far away as 2 miles, people driving in their cars are killed by the barrage of flying debris.
God. 2 miles away.
Red-hot shrapnel hurtled through the air, piercing oil tanks and releasing a flood of flaming gasoline and oil.
And that's the secondary explosion they were talking about, where it damaged the next guys over. And then they exploded. And then the ship across the harbor explodes the next day. And God. I mean, fuck.
Balls of twine, also a part of the Grand Camp's cargo, are sent flaming through the air, further spreading the fire. By radio, telephone, and telegraph, the news is flashed to the nation. There is no water, and it appears that the entire city is about to be overwhelmed. Within minutes, the highway between Galveston and Texas City is filled with doctors, ambulances, and fire engines speeding to the scene. Even though only one circuit is working, a telephone supervisor sends the first desperate appeal for help to the outside world. For God's sake, send the Red Cross. Thousands are dying.
These are the things. I mean, I remember before cell phones, when you had the wall phones. I remember before we had push button phones, we had the rotary dial phones, but these were back when they had switchboards. I mean, you couldn't make a call without someone connecting the call for you. There was no way to get mass messages out. There was no way to, other than through radio. God.
The Red Cross arrives in force and organizes one of the largest emergency operations in history.
Well, this is one of the largest emergency rescues in history. I believe this still may be the largest disaster in U.S. history, with the largest loss of life, I believe, again, is 9/11. But as far as like just the scope of the disaster, I believe this is still the largest in U.S. history.
Field hospitals are hurriedly set up to care for the hundreds of burned and injured victims.
We're down right in the midst of it with gas masks on account of the sulfur, and afraid that one of these big green elevators are going to blow up. We've been down here ever since noon. We haven't stopped a minute. We have given emergencies. We're down here with over 300 firemen, giving them hot coffee, washing their eyes, which had several injured, and 25 firemen have perished over by the docks. They were burnt, and
I mean, that looks like Hiroshima or Nagasaki after a nuclear bomb. I'm just taking the scope of that.
Truck went on down into the water. We have another truck up here off of the road. It had about 10 or 15 men, and they were all crushed.
Everything down here is tore up very badly. Everything is leveled off in one of the greatest disasters I've ever seen. It looks worse than the disaster of Coventry in England. All equipment and everything is leveled off here. The barges on.
Yeah, and see, these are the people that have just got back from World War II. This was 1947. That's why we have them comparing things like it looks worse than Coventry, England was leveled. And those of you that may be in England would have a much more of a connection to what that means than to somebody in Texas. But this is somebody living in Texas saying it reminds them of something worse than the leveling of Coventry, England during World War II. Crystal, hey, Supermod, thank you so much for the super chat, you Supermod. My penance for being late. All righty, well, that's there is no penance for being late. We're just grateful when the mods show up. We love the mods. We've got Steph, she's the Supermod. We've got Queen Bee Steph. We've got King Alan. We've got Queen Bee Crystal here, and Rose, are you still here, or did Rose have to step out? We've got our we've got our great mods here tonight. So again, kudos to all you mods. There is no penance for being late. There's just my gratefulness for your super chat. So again, yeah, those of you that live in England may have more of a frame of reference for the Coventry comment that was made a little bit ago. But these are the people that saw the devastation of World War II, and that's what they're comparing this accident to.
On the ground in towns where it's laid flat. To my knowledge, it's one of the greatest disasters that could ever happen to this world.
Sightseers stay at home and listen to the radio. And
Yeah, I sometimes wonder that too. I sometimes wonder that too, Ben. But that's crazy. Going through World War II and another freaking almost equal damage explosion. Connor's jittery. I don't know if I'm jittery. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
let the men that are down here do the work.
Already we've rescued about 5 dead and 4 injured. And I imagine there's still more that are buried in the buildings we were in that we couldn't get to.
Yeah. I've been digging the bodies out, carrying them out. Well, I've carried out about 10 or 15 myself. There's a lady that had 2 children, and she's lost both children there and hasn't been able to find them. The man was walking along with his wife with a little baby, and during the explosion, the baby disappeared from their arms. They haven't seen the baby since.
God dang. Yeah. No, got no words for that. You just pile the family into the car to go down and watch a fire because apparently there's nothing else better to do in your life at that point. You got your baby there with you, and the explosion literally blows the baby out of your arms, and you never see your baby again. Jeez.
Emergency calls for drugs and medical supplies go out, and all over the country, planes begin a gigantic airlift to the stricken city. The demand for the new penicillin is so great that it threatens to exhaust the nation's supply.
Yeah, can you imagine this? The new penicillin. Do we even think about penicillin anymore? This is the new wonder drug, penicillin. And this accident was so bad that they were in risk of depleting the penicillin supply in the United States.
From as far away as California and Massachusetts, supplies and personnel are rushed in to aid the rescue operation.
There is a few fire trucks and everything now going to work on the building where there is people trapped that can't get out and are probably dead.
I have not consumed any caffeine today yet. And hello, King Bob. Welcome.
By now.
Jesus, look at that.
Bodies out and so far.
And remember, all of this devastation you're seeing here happened from one ship exploding. One ship. And that likely happened because of one person smoking one cigarette in the hold of one ship. Colonel Crayon says, I'm English and my great-grandmother's house was hit by a bomb when she was a child. Her bedroom door was broken in half, salvaged, and now the bottom half is used as a gate in my house. Wow, that's really cool. That's a gate you're going to want to keep around, excuse me. Thank you for that comment. Andrew Maggard, speaking of chemicals, when's your next Friday grift? This Friday. This Friday is my next grift. Fair and Balance will be here for an Unexplained. We're going to be talking about moon-related things and astronaut-related things and space-related stuff, as well as whatever else we're sober for. But this Friday is the grift stream. Bring your super chats and bring them hard. That's a little bit of pre-grift there. So, again, this whole thing you're looking at here, this entire scene of devastation was likely caused by one little cigarette in one hold of one ship in a port. I mean, look, again, just watch this and think one cigarette.
And everything now going to work on the building where there is people trapped that can't get out and are probably dead by now.
Got quite a few bodies out, and so far all I've been finding is bits, pieces of jawbone and stuff like that.
These terrific explosions have sent hundreds of people to their deaths.
Oh, we want some ambulances and some doctors down here to help these boys. They're in bad shape, some of them. So send us some help down here and help us out a little bit.
That explosion has killed hundreds of persons. Some estimates are...
You degenerate, Tony.
So it's really worse than any invasion that could ever happen to any land.
The Army and units here, the 48th Marine Battalion from Houston, Texas, is ready to stand by to safeguard property and to prevent any looting, of which, by the way, there has been no sign.
How different is that from today? They've got the Army or the Marines just standing around waiting to protect and help prevent looting, but there's been no looting. The degenerate status of America these days, looting would have already begun a long time ago if this happened today.
There is no evidence of any looting. The entire community is suffering shock.
I was actually just thinking about that, Just Cause. I was thinking about that watching the fire, thinking, damn, what if this had been in color?
All except rescue workers are barred from the city. Martial law is not declared, but it takes a state pass to enter the burning town. Pumpers arrive from Houston, and water from the bay is poured into the plane.
We're going to stay here until things are well under control. We knocked the fire out to the just this side of the grain elevator, and the boys are now working on the docks, just off from the cotton sheds. We're stationed our pumper. Number 3's pumper is just off of the grain elevator, and everything is working fine. We have another company in town taking care of the city of Texas City. We're going to stay over here, and this thing is well under control. So you folks that have these boys over here fighting these fires.
God, yeah. Well, see, in Denver here it says, imagine flying over that area that had just had 2 planes swatted down just for a few dollars. Yeah. No. And again, that's another important thing to note, was that they didn't want to put out the fire with water because they didn't want to ruin the cargo, because that would cost money. So they tried to smother it, not understanding that it doesn't need oxygen to burn. Again, trying to save a few dollars. People putting their lives in danger to make a few dollars, people putting all these lives at risk just to save a few dollars.
Don't worry about them. They're all okay, and they're doing a bang-up job. We have to do a good job. There's lives here, and bodies alive to save, and bodies yet to get, and we must stay here until the job is done.
God,
we're not home.
Look at that. Look at the scope of that.
An emergency morgue is set up, and distraught survivors wait in an ever-lengthening line. A garage was utilized and made into a temporary morgue. There, 128 bodies were piled, while these relatives came to identify the dead. Already, some 300 estimated dead are being counted here in Texas City. The toll may be even larger because many persons are seriously injured. The fire continues. There is still danger of more explosions. The Army, the governor of Texas, Buford Jester, the mayors and police officials of neighboring cities and counties are all here offering their assistance to Texas City.
We found out some interesting information over there that hasn't been covered up to this point. Lamarck Negro School is the refugee center for the colored people. We've been rather in doubt as to where they were being kept, but we have found out that is where a lot of the injured and
Been there, done that. I gotta do the power source work for the Stream Deck. It's not the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck always worked. It's the soundboard, and yes, it did work. I just need to figure out the wiring and all that so everything can work perfectly on OBS so I can start using it to stream.
Missing can be found.
Buford D. Justice.
The water came up
Smokey the
underneath
Bandit.
dock, which was constructed of 3-inch planking, and it threw me about 25 or 30 feet back, and I landed on solid ground with all this planking on top of it. I was out for about 40 minutes, I think.
Damn.
And when I came to, and I tried to move the lumber off of me, but I couldn't move any. There was 2 rescue men passing down the roadway, and I hollered at them, and they came over there and picked this lumber off of me and tried to get me on my feet. Both my legs were broke, so I couldn't stand up, so they picked me up and took me over to the first aid place where some Army officer gave me a shot and told me to take me to Galveston. And in the meantime, I told these boys that there were some other men in that same vicinity under that lumber because I was talking to them. And they put me in an ambulance and sent me to Galveston.
What were you thinking about while you were underneath all that lumber?
Everything that I did wrong in my early days. That kept me busy.
Yeah, seriously, what would you think? What would you think while you're under while you're under a pile of lumber watching everything burn around you?
There fire all around you?
There was fire over across the slip and all around the back of me where I could see there was fire, and that was the only thing that was worrying me, that this place might catch a fire, and I'd burn up underneath all that lumber, and I didn't think that was too pleasant a way to die.
Then they took you to St. Mary's in Galveston.
I went to St. Mary's Hospital in Galveston there. I spent 87 days in there. I lost a leg in the meantime.
87 days in the hospital.
From 6 in the evening, the freighter SS High Flyer has been burning. It, too, carries a cargo of ammonium nitrate, and attempts to tow it away from the pier have been fruitless. For hours, firefighters worked daily to bring it under control, and rumors of another impending explosion begin to sweep the city.
This is Ben Kaplan, KTHD News Director. I've just left Mayor J.C. Tran. Original explosion which set off the disaster.
God dang, there goes the ship.
Another explosion. The sky.
And there goes the other ship. Right while they're talking. They're talking live when the other ship blows up. God damn. Steph says, can you imagine the ones who were unaccounted for? Yeah, that's what they were talking about earlier, where they were just finding pieces of jawbone and stuff. I mean, that's before there was any DNA. They probably didn't even, I don't even think they had dental record matching technology even back in at that point. Fingerprints weren't even in existence at that point. Well, I mean, fingerprint forensics weren't around in the 40s. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was people that were just literally vaporized. That you just knew they didn't come home, so you had to assume. Flux, thank you so much for the super chat. Good to get a super chat from you. This is like what happened in Beirut in 2020. Well, we'll be talking about Beirut. Beirut's down the line here. That's we'll be talking about Beirut a little bit later. Thank you so much for the super chat. Whew. I mean, damn. We just watched the second ship go up live. Look at that. God.
This is the original explosion which set off the disaster. Here comes another explosion. The sky.
Oof.
You have just heard it. We are bending down. The sky is like broad daylight. No one knows what it is from where we are. We have all hit the ground. We are all lying on the ground. It may have been another barge that went up. The sky is still.
We are all. Yeah, and Poor camera people taking refuge next to a fuel truck. God. Ugh.
The barge that went up. The sky is still red. We are all hitting the dirt. I hope you can hear me. This is Ben Kaplan, your KTHD News Director, with the entire KTHD News staff lying down. Folks are running in the street. Some metal landed within 10 feet of us. Here comes the man now. Have you come from the dock?
Fuck.
All I know, it was a ship that was being towed away that they told us down there that was loaded with flour and it was not in any danger of it exploding. If it contained flour and lumber, well, I'll tell you one thing. Flour and lumber certainly blows, and I'm not trying to be comic at a time like this either.
As the second day wears on, the deputy mayor announces there is no imminent danger of further blasts along the waterfront. We're in good shape now.
we're in good shape now. And I guess by that they mean it's just not going to get any worse at this point.
On the third day, the situation is under control. Even while the rescue work continues, Monsanto Chemical Company publicly announces its intention to rebuild its Texas City branch. It is a powerful vote of confidence in a brave people, and the people take heart. On Saturday, April 19th, the survivors of Texas City gather in the high school football field to mourn their more than 550 dead, to pray for their 4,000 injured.
Jesus.
Many other terrible stories came out of the Texas City blast. Identifying the dead was difficult because shrapnel had torn many of the 552 victims apart. One identification was made when a headless torso was brought in with a car key buried in its chest.
God.
A woman thought the key looked familiar and asked to see it. She took the key to her family car and inserted it into the ignition. The car started. The corpse was her husband.
Can you even fucking imagine? Can you even imagine that? Holy shit. I mean, there's a headless torso with a key buried in its chest. And you think, oh yeah, I've seen that key, I think. Let me see if it starts the car, and it does. I mean, that is some shit you would see in like a horror movie or a comedy movie or something like that, and you'd say, "Oh, come, get the fuck out of here. That's ridiculous." I mean, that would be so unbelievable that you could not put that in a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Friday the 13th or a Halloween movie. You'd be like, "All right, okay, now you've jumped the shark. Now you've just crossed into bullshit territory." That's why they say that truth is stranger than fiction, right there. Literally, you could not make that shit up. And if you put that in a script somewhere, somebody would look at the script and go, "Oh, come on. People are going to walk out of the theater if you put that bullshit in there." I mean, God, that's just horrific. I can't even imagine that. Ugh. But yeah, that was one of the early disasters, chemical disasters. Wow. Really hate to say hit that like button because it's kind of weird after seeing that. But if you like what we're doing here, if you're enjoying the videos, we've got 212 people here now and 166 likes. So get over there, hit that like button. Just reach on down there while we're bringing up the next set of videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I would deeply appreciate it. If YouTube has decided that you're unsubscribed, please make sure and check that you're still subscribed. And if you have unsubscribed, come on back. We want to have you back here. Today may not be what you want, but tomorrow may be. So don't unsubscribe because of what you see in one day here. We talk about a lot of shit. Some things you like, some things you don't. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then do the super chat thing if you're so inclined. The next little story, I want to take a little bit of an interlude here. It's kind of a little bit of a break from the three main accidents that we're talking about, and bring up a story that about a case that I'm involved in right now. It's still ongoing, so there's not a lot I can say about it. But this happened on September 28th, 2019. So coming up on 3 years. Just up the street from here. Oh, we've got a cross. Thank you so much for the super sticker. A nice little thumbs up, Fox. That's great. Appreciate that. Super stickers are as awesome as always. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And definitely not Brandon. Friday is going to be an international disaster. What game we playing? What game we're playing is Brandon, not Brandon, and definitely not Brandon. And hopefully Steph get involved to see who can throw the most money in my direction. That's the game we want to play. At least that's the game I want to play. We'll leave it up to you guys. You guys are awesome. So yeah, that's what we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing. Well, what did we have? We had 17 shots last month. We had 17 shots. I survived pretty much unscathed because I learned my lesson and had lots and lots of water and a full stomach. So let's see if we can break the 17 rule, the 17 shots. Let's see if we can break that up. That's the game we're going to play. All right. Now that little unintended grift is out of the way. This happened, like I said, about 3 years ago, 2 years and 11 months ago, about 45 minutes up the coast from me. I remember we got a call. I got a call early in the morning from the law office saying there's been an explosion in the city of Ulsan, which is a major chemical plant. I mean, it's a major industrial city with lots and lots of chemical plants, chemical manufacturers, chemical storage areas. Virtually all of the chemicals that come in and out of Korea go through that port, go through the port of Ulsan. And there was a ship that was parked under a bridge, under like the Ulsan City Bridge, you know, the aesthetic center of Ulsan, Korea. Yeah, and so we had to go do that, and that also involved chemicals. It was a chemical tanker. One of the tanks went up. Flux, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm closing on my house this week. I'm allowed $5,000 to blow. I'm coming for you Friday, Jeffy. Wow. You know what? The minimum for the shots is $100. There is no maximum. So if you just wanted to give $5,000 for one shot, that'd make me happy. Anyway, thank you so much for the super chat. Look forward to seeing you on Friday, Flux. But yeah, this was a chemical tanker that went up. One of the holds exploded. Can't really go into a lot of more detail, but we can look at some of the video. These are videos. Imagine it's funny but not funny. Imagine here being where we don't want this one here. Boom. This is
When that explosion happened, that actually sent me this video that he's about to play. And he's like, Ulsan today, right now. I'm like, damn. Okay.
a dash cam. This is a dash cam video. This is the bridge. Imagine people being on this bridge.
Also, the title up here, right here, right there, it says that the people thought there was a missile that exploded. They thought it was a missile instead of a ship.
The ship is underneath. It's literally directly under this bridge. And this is some dash cam video shot by a couple who were going across the bridge early that morning. It was raining that morning. I remember that. Yeah. If I Execution asks, can you even super chat 5,000? $500 is the limit, but you can do $500 10 times. Anyway, so check out the dash cam video here. Imagine this is what you see and hear as you're driving onto this bridge. Very early one, I believe it was a Saturday morning.
Oh! Oh,
back, hurry. Yeah, so that was the explosion from a dash cam. Yeah, can you imagine going up onto that bridge? You're just early morning, not thinking anything, and then you just see this big mushroom cloud go boom in front of you. Yeah, that's that was a big explosion. No, you don't see that every day. Tweety Kid said, yeah, this is a case that we've been working on for 3 years now. Let's see. There's the next video I wanted to show you from that particular accident is this one here. Now this is CCTV camera taken from the pier. This is the side of the ship. We can back up the video a little bit. There's a few things to note here. There's people doing their stuff here. These two ships, what they do is they pump nitrogen into the tanks to clean out the tanks, so that you can put more chemicals in. That's why they're looking all steamy, because they basically have nitrogen in them. And here is the hatches for some of the chemical tanks on the vessel. Yeah. And those letters that say no smoking, safety first, prevent, those letters are about 6 feet, 2 meters high. This right here is a guy. That little white spot is a hat. He's wearing a white hat and a white vest and a white jacket. Keep your eye on him, the white hat and the white work clothes. You can't see it here, but there's a ladder that goes off the ship right here. And that's his job. This guy's job is to sign people on and off the ship. They have to keep a record of exactly who goes on and what time and who goes off at what time. And that's his job. He's just basically hanging around there at the gangway, letting people on and off. He is right here when this explosion goes up. He's standing right there. Now, something to keep in mind is, watch the guy walk around. He was not seriously injured. He suffered a few burns to his hands and a little bit and some burns on his ears. This is something, if you're in his situation, you either believe more in God or you start believing in God after this experience. But yeah, this is a CCTV camera view taken from the pier of this ship going up. And what you're going to see is there's like an initial pressure wave, a little bit of like a puff of steam and a little bit of pressure wave. And then an instant later, the ship goes up in about 20 seconds from now. So you can see the people just doing their job, minding their own business. Got the guy walking around back and forth here. And coming up about 2 seconds, you're going to see a little puff of smoke here and then bang. And this is all burning debris and burning chemicals. So yeah, that was and again, where are we at here? Keep your eye on the guy. He's over here now, I guess. Yeah, he's right there. And he saw this puff and turned to run and crouched down and turned to run. And somehow the video keeps freezing because I keep pushing pause, I guess. So yeah, watch him here. He gets completely enveloped in flames, but doesn't, for some mysterious reason, it's not that he doesn't die. He doesn't even really get hurt.
아, 저 가운데서 뭔가 터졌네.
진석하고는 틀린 거야.
Yeah, it's that was a big explosion. It says, Execation says, no, when you're playing it, it freezes. I don't know. More than one of you are having that problem. I wonder what the old deal is then. Because everything's fine on my end. That is the one good thing about Korea is they have amazing internet.
And yeah, in the video there was the little commentary that the Korean personnels were having. They said, "Oh, like something probably exploded from the center." And just a little quick translations for you.
Huh. Maybe I'm just too good for y'all. Let me see what we can do here. Talk amongst yourselves. Checking my system, see what I can do for you guys. Because I am directly wired into a 5G super mega fast Wi-Fi as well as hardwired into my Ethernet. So I guess it's just all y'all's problem. Well, yeah, Steph says, "Oh, stop! Just legal vice is too hot to handle." That's me. Yep. Turned off Wi-Fi. Well, suppose it's on all y'all. I have no idea what to tell you other than I'm just too awesome. I agree with Steph. I guess I'll lower the video quality on the video. Does it only happen when I'm playing the videos? Yeah, I've turned off the Wi-Fi. So we are just running purely on Ethernet right now, and it says my connections are awesome and good. So, all right. Yep. Okie dokie. Anyway, so this video is particularly bad. Okay, well, dang. Well, let me turn off. I mean, Bluetooth has nothing to do with it. I'll just turn off Bluetooth to make sure we're all that way. And on that note, I guess let's watch another video and let me know if the same thing happens. I've literally done everything I can do at my end other than reducing the quality of the video. And I would hope we don't have to do that because I like watching high quality videos. I mean, that is a legit problem being here in Korea. Is everything is so well wired, everything is so fast that you kind of get ahead of other places. I'm freezing as well. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, see, Coco says working beautiful. Other people say I'm freezing. Rack has had the same problems. Fine on mine. You're freezing. Well, I guess you're all just kind of different, I guess. Whatevs. All right. Let's watch ye oldie video here and see what happens. This is, if we watch, okay, here's just one more. This is a 30-second video, so this will be a good test case. The resolution is, all right, I've set the resolution to 360p for this thing. So we've gone rock bottom. Let's see if that helps any of you out. This is another camera position taken of the ship. Let's see. It is. Where are you? Boom, boom, boom. All right, here we go. This is the entire side of the ship, and you can see the bridge overhead here. So this is where the mushroom cloud came from. Yikes. Yep, there you go. That was another view of the explosion. That's a case that I said I've been working on for the last 3 years. We're kind of winding down to the end of that case, so maybe I can talk a little bit more about it after everything is finished. But these port explosions are real. I mean, there's a lot of damage that gets done. Just these chemicals, because once they start going, it's very, very hard to stop. And you can do so much damage in such a small amount of time. And with that ship explosion, the one that I'm involved in, the fact that nobody was killed, there was one semi-serious injury, but no life-threatening injuries. I mean, it's a miracle. And it's a miracle it happened where it did and not at the chemical plant pier that it was at a few hours before this happened. So yeah, it's an all-around miracle. Baby Doll, thank you so much for the super chat. No need to change vid resolution because stream freezes. Sound is always fine, even when no vid is up. Doesn't last long. Isabel says, have you looked at the 1917 Halifax explosion? That's on the list. We won't have enough time to do it today, so it's not on today's list. But yeah, that's on the list. It'll be here in a future event. No need to worry about that. We've got it covered. The chemical that exploded, Dan, can you say what chemical was exploded? The chemical at issue was styrene monomer, which is essentially a kind of a plasticky sort of thing. And it, when it gets hot, it turns into a big explosion and gets solid, and it's just a mess. Styrene monomer, it's a big dangerous thing. You have to be very, very, very careful with it. But anywho, the next main thing I wanted to look at was an incident that happened in Tianjin, China, which I want to say was in 2019. 2018, 2019, but in Tianjin, nitrocellulose, the chemical nitrocellulose went up, and that killed 181 people. Let's say Tony G says this chemical is dangerous. Let's put it on a boat. You gotta get the chemicals somewhere somehow. That's just. I mean, you have massive safety protocols in place to make sure that things don't happen, but sometimes they do. Sometimes things out of your control happen. But yeah, that's shipping. The shipping industry is an incredibly dangerous industry because, as we've said, you don't. I mean, you have so many things that have to be treated so many different ways on the same ship. It's amazing that to me anyway, it's amazing that there's not more. There aren't more accidents than there are. I said, hey, I saw my first ever cat boy on Friday. I wouldn't have known what it was before you talked about it on one stream. glad to be of service, I guess. So yeah, this Tianjin explosion. This video, it's a short video. It's about a minute and a half, I think, maybe a little more than a minute and a half. But in this explosion of this nitrocellulose at the pier in Tianjin also is a huge chemical port in China, just outside Beijing. 181 people dead. 798 were injured. Now this video was taken by presumably, I believe it was an English teacher who was having a party at his house with his Chinese girlfriend. And I mean, if he was an English teacher, he was someone worked for some company there, but I believe it was like English teachers hanging out having a party. And this is the video. You can see them. It starts out, I guess it's only 1 minute long. It starts out with everybody, going, "Oh, look, there's a fire down."
Hello, King Bob's Queen. How are you?
The port, ha ha ha, joking and laughing. Oh, it was probably a gas station that blew up. They're all laughing about the fire and the explosion. And then suddenly it stops being funny. And then people start screaming and crying. And these guys are miles away. I believe they're like 1.5 miles away, so a little over 2 kilometers away. So let's watch this video of people thinking a fire is funny and then suddenly realizing that maybe it's not funny anymore. I don't know if any of you have seen this video, but again, now people, if you're going to record shit, this is just my pet peeve. Don't do it in portrait mode. Do it in landscape mode. You have landscape on your phone. I just hate people that film videos like this in portrait mode. But let's watch and listen to something being cute and funny and then suddenly taking a very, very serious fucking turn. And again, remember they're a little over 2 kilometers, a little over 1.5 miles away.
Whoa! Holy shit! Fuck yeah, I'm videoing it. What the fuck?
I think that might be a gas station.
Yeah, it's all funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gas. Whoa! Oh! What the?
Now it stops being funny.
Shit! No fucking what? Oh shit! Oh shit! No, baby! Oh no!
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my god! Oh dear!
Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming!
Wow! Wow! I think we are dangerous.
Let's go! Let's go!
Yeah, check that shit out. Watch that again. They're over 2 kilometers away. They're 1.5 miles away.
Fuck yeah,
And these are skyscrapers here. These are probably 30, 40, 50-story buildings right here.
I think that might be a gas station or something.
Fuck yeah, it's a gas. Whoa! Oh! What the? Holy shit!
No, those aren't fireworks. That's just chemical explosions.
Oh shit! Oh shit! No, baby! Oh no!
Yeah, notice how it's not funny anymore. And these are like massive high-rise cranes, and you've got the gigantic high-rise buildings. What caused the explosion? I'm not sure what caused it. I just know what it was. It was just nitrocellulose. I mean, something happened to ignite it. And yeah, they ran out of the building. They're crying and screaming the entire time. They're running down the stairway at that distance.
Oh!
Yeah, well, Isabel Randy, the girl's either laughing or crying, though. She was laughing at the beginning, and now she's doing the laugh cry thing. And then after the third explosion, she's definitely doing the crying thing.
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my God!
Oh dear! Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming.
This is fucking amazing. Just.
Wow! I think we are dangerous.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, that was the Tianjin explosion. I said I believe that was 2019. I forgot to check what day it was, but that's when things go from, oh look, this is funny, to holy fuck, it's not funny anymore, and we need to get out of here. And again, remember, they were more than 2 kilometers, more than 1.5 miles away. About 3 kilometers, I guess it would be. And now I know we've talked about it before. How was the video, by the way? Did that video freeze up? I'm just kind of curious. Well, because I'd be worried about chemical contamination and debris for sure. That was the thing that with the one I just showed, where we had to go and we had to go on site to where that fire was, and the fire was still going when we were there. It was under control, so it wasn't a dangerous thing at that point. But it's raining, and it was kind of hard to breathe, and I remember thinking, we probably shouldn't be out here in this. We should probably be somewhere inside, or at least have gas masks on. So yeah, we kind of cleared out of there after a bit and went somewhere else. Well, sorry for the video to be all choppy and shit. Well, hopefully YouTube will pull their head out of their ass, or StreamYard will pull its head out of its ass, and we'll get it taken care of. So the last one I wanted to show and address tonight, as we look at major pier disasters, is the Beirut 2020 accident. 2 years ago in Beirut, 215 people were killed, and 7,000 people were injured. And again, this was one of these deals where the explosions were felt miles and miles and miles away. They're breaking, windows are breaking, 2 kilometers, 2 miles, 3 or 4 kilometers away. Just the devastation that was coming from this. And again, it was also ammonium nitrate, which is what took out the Grand Champ in the first video we watched. It was ammonium nitrate, 7,000 people injured, 215 people dead. And my understanding is they're still investigating it. There's been some political issues that have blocked the investigation, if my information is still current. So let's bring up and this is shown from several different angles. What when this happened was there was some fireworks that had got on fire, and they dealt with that, but apparently not well enough, I believe. All righty. Where are we here? We want massive Beirut explosion. Not massive explosion in Beirut. We want massive Beirut, Lebanon explosion. All right.
May not be suitable to all viewers. I don't normally post content like this, but many subscribers from Lebanon requested me to post this to raise awareness. Please pray for Lebanon.
I mean, that's just a fucking nuclear bomb right there. That's just a damn nuclear bomb.
Subscribers from Lebanon requested me to post this to raise awareness. Please pray for Lebanon.
Yeah, that's the fireworks that were going up there. There was some fireworks, I believe, were on a ship or something. Old fireworks in a storage facility, something to do with the old fireworks. And then the shockwave from this thing is just ridiculous. Did you see that? Just watch this shockwave. Watch this shockwave burn its way through the city. I mean, you can see it coming towards the camera, and then on the ocean, you can see the shockwave come across the water. Look at that. Just look at this line here. As this shockwave comes and knocks these people on their ass from, this has got to be 2.5 kilometers. It's got to be more than well over a mile away. Look at that. Oh. And again, watch this as this goes up. Watch the shockwave just come through the water here. Here it comes. Boom, boom. Oh, schools. Whoa. Ugh. That's crazy. God dang. Ugh. Can you imagine? And then just the devastation after, miles and miles away. Yeah, that's now there's these are just people that are going about their everyday lives in a city, and something that happens in a port clearing the shit over on the other side of the city affects them. I think one of the strangest videos I saw was this woman who was doing wedding photographs. She was taking care of her wedding photography when this thing went up. Where are we at here? Yeah. This is a couple just taking their wedding pictures.
يا عذرا
I mean, that little, yeah, I guess he cut short his sermon. You're just totally unprepared for this stuff. And it's the little things that set it off. Little things that you can control, little things that you can't control. You know, We've seen a lot of devastation tonight. We've seen a lot of carnage, and they all happen from these little things, these little incidents. Like the first one, the Grand Champ there in Texas City, Texas. 600 people dead, 4,000 people injured. Most likely because one person was smoking a cigarette, one cigarette in the hold of a ship. Blows up that ship, blows up the ship next to it, blows up the next ship across the harbor the next day, takes out oil refineries on two sides, levels a city. Wait, hang on,
Welcome to all the Mr. Coop and Georgie Raiders. Come on, sit back and relax the last little bit. Let's see, that's what? About the last 20-ish minutes of this Maritime Monday. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Heroes Chris Painting Corner. Welcome. Melody. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We're just watching some Maritime Monday coverage of some explosions. And after this, looks like by the poll, I'll be reading the email story thing that I found about Dad's second motorcycle accident. Hear a little story. Hello, Donna. Welcome, welcome. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Maritime Monday coverage and enjoy the story. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it. It's an interesting read. Mercedes Benz, welcome. Good morning.
I've got a video going that I don't want going. There we go. But yeah, and then you got this thing in Tianjin, China. That takes out 171 people. I mean, at what point 181 people, injure 798. Beirut, 215 dead, 7,000 injured. These little accidents can become these ridiculously huge incidents, and just like that, you can vaporize hundreds of people. And that's the awesome. And I don't mean like cool awesome. I mean awesome in like awe-inspiring part of the work that I do sometimes when you're dealing with these ridiculously huge things, or where you'll get ships that'll hit each other and they will spill thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons or liters of oil, and take out entire ecosystems. It's appalling, I guess is the word to use, that just the destruction that can happen.
Also, to the Raiders that barely joined, the video freezing is not on my end, it is on his end. I guess that they StreamYard wanted to mess around with everything that they ever had. So if it's freezing, it's not me, it's him.
We've developed as a society to the point where we're reliant on chemicals like this. We need these chemicals to make our world go round, but they're also incredibly dangerous, and you need to be on your toes all the time. So those are some of that's the Maritime Monday disasters I wanted to get into today. Someone had mentioned the Grand Champ. So one or two of you had mentioned that to me before as a possible thing to look at. So I started looking at that and I thought, okay, this is quite a bit like the Tianjin thing came to mind first, and then the Beirut thing. And so I was thinking, yeah, that's let's look at these. But the Nova Scotia incident, it was the 1917 explosion. That was a little bit different. So I decided I didn't want to shortchange that by rushing through that tonight. We'll do that on a different night. Alan Tempest, will we be doing the Titanic soon? Probably not. For some reason, I'm not really interested in the Titanic. I think it's been done to death. I think everybody knows something about the Titanic. Maybe I will, but I like learning these new things, hearing about things that I've never heard about before, and looking at things that I have heard about from different angles. I mean, I won't say no. I'm just saying I'm not particularly like thrilled about the Titanic or motivated about it, because I think there's been enough out there. There's a lot of stuff for us to look at. So don't hate me, Alan. I probably won't be doing the Titanic anytime soon. Who knows? Friday, get me drunk enough and I might do the Titanic. Okay. Barney, yes, the Titanic was an assassination to establish the Federal Reserve, or was it really the Titanic that sank? Dun, dun, dun. That's another conspiracy, that it wasn't actually the Titanic that was sunk. There's a lot of conspiracies around that. But yeah. Wow. So again, next Monday, I don't know what we'll cover. Let me just for your information, let's see what we've got coming up. This is what's on my list currently. This is my current Maritime Monday links. Let me update it here. Get rid of the $42 million yacht that sank. We don't care about that anymore. We just did the Grand Champ in Tianjin and Beirut. We got all of that done in one fell swoop. So what we've got here coming up, delete. The Steamboat Sultana. Big steamboat accident that happened. The Penly lifeboat disaster. That was a particularly nasty incident. The SS Pendleton, Piper Alpha oil rig. We did an oil rig a couple of weeks ago. Where Piper Alpha is another oil rig we'll be dealing with. The Estonia is an old case. The Scandinavian Star, the wreck of the Peter Iredale, and ghost ships. I've put ghost ships in kind of this nebulous region on my list between Maritime Monday and the unexplained, because while on the one hand these ghost ships are maritime related, they're also unexplained. Colonel Canyon asks, have you done the Costa Concordia? Yes, we did that. What was it, 3 weeks ago? I forgot when we did it, but yeah, a couple of Maritime Mondays ago, we did the Costa Concordia. Go back and watch the video. That was a good video. It was a little, again, there was another massive loss of life there, but it was a little more amusing than this one was today. So yeah, we've done the Costa Concordia. The Steamboat Willie disaster. No, pirate ship. No, not pirate. The ghost ships. You know, like the Marie Celeste is the big ghost ship. The ship floats into harbor with nobody on board. Yeah, missing lifeboats. There's half-eaten food. There's half-drunk drinks on tables, and the only thing that was on the ship was a dog. No records. There's mysterious ghost ships like that. There's even been a couple of good movies about ghost ships. I think one of them was actually called Ghost Ship. What about military ships? The SS Pendleton is coming up. Like I said, we've got perhaps we might be doing some submarine accidents. They're kind of rolling around in my head. But yeah, if there's anything in particular, if there's a particular case, send me a link to, if there's a good YouTube video about it or something, send me the link and, let me know about it. My email address is thelegalvices@gmail.com, or text me on Twitter. My Twitter is thelegalvices. So if there's, rather than just throwing out a name of some particular incident, if you can also send the link to a video you would like to watch, or at least a video that will set me down the trail for other videos, that would be much appreciated. I wish I was drunk. How are we all today? We are all great. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. I think within the next few minutes. It's getting to be 11 p.m. here. I've got a bunch of stuff to do before I go to sleep. But let's talk again about what's going on here. We've got the super mods. You're doing an absolute amazing job. I love all you mods to death because you keep me afloat here. The chat, you're insane as always. Can't do this without you. If the chat's not here, we don't need the mods. If we don't have chats and mods, well, what the hell am I doing here? So you all keep it here. You all bring it here. Tell your friends about this place. Bring your friends over. Have them subscribe. let's get our numbers up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. What do we got here? We got 230 people concurrently and 221 likes. Given the turnover, I think that probably means about 100 of you hadn't hit the like button. If you've been here for more than 30 seconds, hit that like button. I would appreciate it, and it would let YouTube know that you like what's going on here. And later, when we're going to wrap this up here in 5 or 10 minutes. After we do that, come back a little bit later and just leave a comment. YouTube considers that engagement, which is one of their important things. Just leave the date, your time of day, your location. Tell YouTube to intercourse themselves, whatever. Just leave a comment when you can. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Oh, and we have Excation. Thank you so much for the super chat coming in at the wire. When are you going to watch Survivor's Guide to Prison? I emailed it to you weeks ago. I've seen that. I watched that series before. It's good. There's copyright. There's major copyright problems with that. With that. I love watching all of those types of shows, the prison shows and whatnot. The thing, like I said, other than the big copyright thing, the deal with that is there's lots of things like that out there. Mondays we just do the maritime stuff because that's what I do. I do maritime law. So that's what I know what I'm talking about. Trials and other things coming up. We got lots of those things to do. But if there's a way that I can really work around the copyright issue, things like that might be fun to take little bits and pieces of. Kitty Cat, thank you so much. Reminder, your chat is known as the Vice Squad. Oh, are we known as the Vice? Vice Squad now? When did that happen? I was unaware we're the Vice Squad. Okay. Let me. I don't have any paper here to write that down. I'll have to remember that. And how did we decide? How did we decide that? just curious. I like the ring of that. Vice Squad has a good name. I'm gonna remember that. Thanks. Appreciate that, Kitty Cat. Vice Squad it is. We are now Legal Vices and the Vice Squad. And as you all know from LawTube, apparently I'm also the vice president. See how that works? Legal Vices and his Vice Squad, vice president of LawTube. I like that. Vice Squad. That's pretty good. Whoever did that, Kitty Cat, if that was your own thing, cool. If actually some people got together and did that, you're weird, but thanks. That's great. All right. What we've got coming up on not yet. Execution wants another one here. Thank you so much. It's not a series. It's free to distribute. Documentary by Matthew Cook. Hang on. Wait just a second here. Okay, well, yeah, that's it's on Netflix now. That's the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, it's got Danny Trejo in it, and yeah, that's uh-huh. I don't know why it would be free to distribute. Yeah, it's still in release, but yeah.
Okay, wow. So my microphone decided to stop working. That's why you guys didn't hear me. I talked, I saw that I wasn't picking up anything, so I had to switch out the microphone. Hello, Flux. How are you doing, sis? Um, I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, Mary Jane, I'm not asleep. I am awake. La 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 la. Was this the burst of Vice Squad? It seems like it. I was gonna make a comment on that too, but hey, Flux, you said it first while I was trying to change my microphone. We are witnessing history. We can hear you now. Awesome.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. We would have Sirius, I believe. Well, we can try it one day and see, just a test stream or something. But yeah, that being a distributed and released documentary, you're gonna run into, especially it only being what 3-4 years old, you're gonna run into a lot of problems with it, I think. But we can check it out. Let's see, we just did down here. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Yes, that is the documentary that's been distributed. Oh, here we got Coco. Thank you so much, Coco. You being live is awesome, but you also cover some super cool topics. Well, that's great. If I can be live and super cool, I try my best. Steph, thank you so much for legal vices. Rawr. Anyway, thank you so much, Steph. Appreciate that. But yes, okay. Actually, I streamed it on Twitch and YouTube once, and it never flagged. Okay, so you streamed it on YouTube. That's that. I mean, Twitch, you can pretty much do anything. I think you could probably kill someone on Twitch, and they wouldn't have a problem with it. All right, you streamed it on YouTube once. Well, we'll look into that and then get into it if we need to. So it doesn't really fit anywhere particular in the format, but hey, it might be a good Fuck It Friday stream. As a matter of fact, let's as long as I'm thinking about it, well, we can throw it on what is it, October, on October's Fuck It Friday, maybe. As long as we're going to do something to get demonetized, may as well get demonetized in style, I guess. So I'll try to remember to do that for the October Fuck It Friday. Now we're 2 hours and 1 minute, and it's this way I don't have to say F It Friday. I can just say Fuck It Friday now. All right, well, that's what we're going to be doing, letting you know what's coming up for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to have Salt Lake County District Attorney Danny on the show, where we're going to be talking about police use of force issues. When is it justified? When is it not justified? And looking at specific cases. We're going to look at 3 specific cases tomorrow. Danny's going to be here at the beginning, and I don't know how long she can stay. She's in the middle of doing her candidacy work, campaigning for her hopeful position. She's trying to be the Salt Lake County District Attorney. We're going to be talking about 2 cases from Salt Lake City. One was a case of a police shooting that came under serious scrutiny. Very, very problematic case where the current district attorney, after 4 years, finally decided not to prosecute the police officer. So we're going to look into that. And for me, just heads up, I think the guy should have been prosecuted. We'll go through the video. We'll talk about some of the news sources, and we'll hear Danny's views on it. Danny's very highly critical of that case. And another case that just came to light, it happened, I think, around August 6th, and the Salt Lake City Police Department just released all of the body cam footage the other day, I think on Friday or Saturday. A guy was drunk, possibly, I mean, he was definitely intoxicated, possibly having mental issues. The police took him down. They handcuffed him, and he died. We'll be looking at that. And in that case, people are hitting the police hard for that. He shouldn't have died. There's no excuse. They're hitting the police hard for use of force, and specifically Salt Lake City Police Department are required by their policy to use de-escalation techniques. They're being hit hard for not using de-escalation techniques. When I disagree, I think they used very, very clear to me anyway, de-escalation techniques. And given the circumstances, the way I see them, I don't think the police needed to use any de-escalation techniques. But we'll look at those news stories. We'll look at some of the criticisms, and we'll look at the body cam footage, and maybe get Danny's comments on that as well. So Danny she's her husband's Korean. She's American, and she used to live here in Busan about 10 years ago already. Jeez, Time flies. So now she's running for Salt Lake County District Attorney. She's running against Sim Gill, the current district attorney, who has a very, very long history and is very, very highly criticized for sitting on domestic violence cases for years, sitting on murder cases for years. And she'll talk a lot about that as well. The importance of making quick decisions on open cases. And then we'll also look at new information that's come to light regarding the Arkansas police beatdown that we watched last week. So those are the three big deals. The 4-year-old Salt Lake City case, the shooting incident where the police were decided to be not charged by the district attorney after 4 years. The new current case where the police are coming under criticism for not using de-escalation techniques, which led to the death allegedly of this man, and the Arkansas police. That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. That'll be interesting. That'll be fun. It'll be great to have Danny back here. She's totally unbreaded. She's a hard hitter. She's a straight talker. Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday we'll be having a light night. We'll be relaxing. We'll be watching an hour-long video of Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez sitting down and doing an interview with the president of the Beverly Hills Bar Association, where they're just going to talk about what it was like to have Johnny Depp for a client, how they prepared, and what their experiences were with the trial. Just kind of wash some of that icky Amber Heard out of our mouth. Have a nice, lighthearted, happy conversation with Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez. We'll watch that video on Wednesday. Thursday will be the opening statements for the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. The O.J. Simpson trial was going on at the end of my second year of law school, through that summer, and into the first part of my third year in law school. So I remember I watched virtually every minute of that trial, either by skipping class or videotaping it and watching it after. So we'll watch we're going to watch several parts of that trial over the course of a significant amount of time. But Thursday will be the opening statements by the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. So we can compare and contrast how television has affected criminal prosecutions and how the system is different because of the O.J. Simpson trial. And then Friday is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the third Fuck It Friday, where I grift my ass off to get you to buy me drinks. I am not cheap. $100 gets you a shot. Minimum $100 gets you a shot of whatever particular rot gut I have on hand. And we're trying to beat our last month's record, 17 shots. I'm getting scared again already because we have Brandon, not Brandon, and definitely not Brandon. Steph was Mod Steph. She was throwing some drinks at me last month, so I'm kind of scared about that. And now, was it Flux who was saying that you've got $5,000 to burn? Just the only rule is don't send me to the hospital. That's the only rule. So that'll be fun. Again, Friday is just a fun grift stream where we just have fun. I beg for money, you make me drink. But the added bonus this Friday is it coincides with my weekly Fair and Balanced Unexplained stream. Mysteries or the paranormal, ghosts, conspiracy theories, and whatnot. And this week, because of the Artemis 1 rocket, which will hopefully launch. That would be fucking awesome if it launched on Friday while we were in the middle of the drunk, fair and balanced, with the drunk legal vices and sober, fair and balanced, unexplained stream. So that would be fun if the rocket would go up, because we're going to be talking about various mysterious things dealing with space. As a preview, what have we got here? I wrote down some topics. A Chinese astronaut who went alone in orbit and heard knocking on the outside of his spacecraft. We'll be talking about astronaut Edgar Mitchell and his comments on UFOs. We'll be talking about Buzz Aldrin and his views and experiences with UFOs. Fires on the moon seen by Neil Armstrong. Also, allegations or assertions that Neil Armstrong saw people watching them on the moon. And a mysterious thing that Neil Armstrong did, where after he came back from the moon, he invested a lot of money in searching for a secret reported ancient library in the jungles of South America. Sounds on the dark side of the moon, astronauts recording eerie music-like sounds on the dark side of the moon. And the moon might be hollow. And then something that several of you have asked for, the lost Russian cosmonaut woman. A mysterious recording from a reported female cosmonaut that no one can account for. These are the things we're going to be talking about with Farron. While I get drunk. Steph, you're starting again. Legal Vices, I have end of the month cash. Oh God, they're fun. And again, the reason I grift so hard one day a month is so I don't have to do it the rest of the month. Well, see, and this is we have a comment here from RBMKA56. Legal Vices is Art Bell. That's how I got into this. Those of you that know Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM, George Noory does it now. I haven't listened to it much since Art Bell died, but I listened to Art Bell every night from Coast to Coast AM from the time I was 12 or 13 years old and until he died. I loved Coast to Coast AM, Art Bell. The thing that I liked about Art Bell was he would talk about these things, the paranormal, psychics, astral projection, just whatever, any weird topic that nobody else would talk about with it. Nobody would let these people come on their show with a 10-foot pole, but Art Bell would treat them with at least a modicum of respect. He would let them tell their story in a non-judgmental way. He would give them a forum to talk about the things that other people wouldn't let them talk about. And that's how you learn about some really interesting and fascinating things. And so saying Legal Vices Art Bell is a huge compliment to me. I love Art Bell, and to be compared to him is ridiculous for Art Bell, but I mean it's a great pleasure for me because that's what I like. I throw the ideas. I mean, there's some just patently absurd ideas out there that I want nothing to do with, but for the most part, just throw them out there and let y'all make your own decisions. Flux is Farron won't be drinking because it'll be like 8 o'clock in the morning for Farron. I hope she's not drinking at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. But yeah, okay, this is interesting. She says talking to Matthew Cook right now, seeing if he'd be part of the stream. If you can hook us up, that would be good. That would be super awesome if you can pull something like that off. Again, my
Uncle Buck, I don't know who Art Bell is. I don't know who that is.
email address is thelegalvices@gmail.com.
What's up, Sticky Widget? Welcome.
If you can hook me up with Matthew Cook, we could definitely do something, and I wouldn't do it while I was drunk either. That's one of the joys of having people that make things there with you. You can get through a lot of copyright issues. So yeah, let's see how that goes. That's a challenge. Kitty Cat could also work with Jeff as the captain of the ship, distracted by the squatting women cruising into the exploding harbor. I don't even know what that means, but okay. So that's where we are. We are here at the end of another Maritime Monday. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining me here. It's time to wrap this up. And as I said again, tomorrow, join me with special guest Danny On, candidate for Salt Lake County District Attorney, as we look at the issue of police use of force, when it's justified, when it's not, and when to prosecute. We'll see you then tomorrow night. Until then, thank you so much, my mods. Steph, you're awesome as always. Alan, so thank you so much for being here. Who else is still here? Do you have any of our mods still here? Steph and Alan, are you the only two that are still surviving? We had Rose at the beginning. Crystal, she said she checked in and she might have to check out, so I assume she checked out. But thanks to all of the mods for the great work you do. Again, thanks to chat for being here. Thanks for having a good time amongst yourselves and playing nicely. And until we see you again tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Have yourself a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and above all, don't forget to enjoy your legal vices. I'm out of here.
Okay, and this is where I will stop the poll that's going on. Bloop. Sweet. Ah, ladies and gentlemen, King Bob, I saw you asking what the progress is with the build. Well, let me, oops, do that one, and I'll do a little switchy, bloop, and a bloop. There you go, much better. Progress on the build is I will be doing crochet tomorrow because fuck this build and fuck everything. That's my progress. Because the reason I say that is I was at step number, what is it, 338 out of 473. I was trying to put a piece on securely as possible, and guess what? I just decided to put my fist through it. So here it is, in bits and pieces. There's this chunk, there's this chunk, there's this chunk, and there's chunks everywhere. Oh, here's a couple chunks. So yeah, this will go in the garbage. So hey, I'll be doing crochet tomorrow. Yeah, I was just pushing a. Yeah, so if you guys want to see that happening, go back to around the 2 hour and 9 minute mark. Yeah, if you go back to like 2 hours and 9 minutes, just around there, you'll see me just stop building. Again, 2 hours and 9 minutes, around there. You'll see my fist go through while trying to put in a piece, and um, and I just stop building. So yeah, this will go in the trash can, and I guess it's me learning how to crochet tomorrow while watching Maritime Monday. Heck yeah. So, let's move these aside. But hey, it was off-brand Legos. It was cheap. It was from Temu. I couldn't care less. Now, as promised, I will be reading the email draft that I found while cleaning out Dad's email. And it is about his second motorcycle accident. Let me let me pull this on a document instead of his email. Dog.google.com. New. It is 8 pages long on Google Documents. It's freaking 8 pages long. Wow. Okay, I didn't notice it was that much stuff. But yeah, so as if you guys didn't know, Dad had Harley Davidson when he was in living in Korea, and he got into two accidents, and after that he decided to sell it. So I will do. I'll pull it up as well. Um, right there. Studio mode. Screen. Bloop. There you go. So what was left as a bike? I think he had two Harley Davidsons and he sold both of them and bought a car. So, can you guys see it well? Hopefully you can, because I'm going to read it anyway, so you guys don't really have to see, but if you want to read along, feel free. And here it begins. Okay. Some of you have no idea what happened to me. Others know basically what happened to me. I think only a few of you know exactly what happened to me. Now that I have this nifty software that allows me to speak into a microphone and watch the words magically appear on the computer screen, I can sit back, rest my arms, and tell you all what happened. Early in the afternoon of October 30th, 2010, my friend Jeremy and I were riding our motorcycles to lunch. After delicious lunch at the Siemens Club, Jeremy headed home. I took off by myself to go take care of some other business. Just before 1 p.m., I was riding along a 4-lane highway with 2 lanes going each directions. I like to take this particular road because it's not well traveled by other vehicles, so there's not much traffic to worry about. I was southbound on the inside lane nearest to the double yellow lines, and another car was approaching northbound from the opposite direction on the inside lane nearest the double yellow line. Suddenly, and without any warning whatsoever, a large delivery truck that was sitting on the right shoulder of the road completely outside of the traffic lanes began to make an illegal U turn directly in front of me in an effort to proceed in a northbound lane. However, due to the other car that was traveling opposite me in the northbound lane, the delivery truck could not complete the illegal U turn and he had to stop his truck directly in front of me, blocking both southbound lanes. He pulled out and stopped in front of me so quickly that I didn't have time or space to maneuver around the truck. So, I slammed on my brakes, locked my wheels, honked my horn, cursed as loudly as possible, and prayed for the best. Unfortunately, it was not my lucky day. At some point in space, or in some point in the space of what I estimate to be about 2 seconds between the time he had began to pull out in front of me and the time that I slammed broadside into the side of his truck, I realized there was no way I was going to be able to stop. Oh, do you want me to save it for another day? I can stop right here. At the word stop, I can stop. Because I have 2 read-ons and I have 2 stops. Okay, I have One more, keep going, and one more stop. I'm good to do it whenever. I was planning on reading it today. That's why I did the poll. Now I see people saying do it and don't. And it's a tie. It's 3-3 as far as I see right now. Poll said yes. Read on. Do it. Okay, I'm doing it. And here's the thing, I don't have anything to add on to this story. That's why I said I'm going to read it. That's why I did the poll. So, since everyone, okay, let's see. At some point in time of what I estimate to be a 2 seconds between the time that he began to pull out in front of me and the time that I slammed broadside into the side of his truck, I realized that there was no way I was going to be able to stop. I had no time to take any other evasive maneuvers or safety measures, such as laying the bike down or doing anything else. I T-boned the truck. I hit broadside hard. Very, very hard. I don't remember actually hitting the truck. I remember getting very, very close to it, and I remember bouncing off the truck. The next thing I remember was laying on my back in the middle of the road. So, I remember approaching the truck, bouncing off the truck, and laying in the road. The actual impact and landing on the road are gone from my memory. The driver got out of his truck and immediately started calling for an ambulance, the police, his company, his insurance company, and anyone else he could reach. I remember mumbling something to him like, "Why? Why couldn't you wait 3 seconds to make that turn?" It took a few minutes for the police to arrive. While waiting, I had one of the most incredible sensations of my entire life. I knew that my right arm was badly broken because I could distinctly feel that my right hand was laying flat on the road up to my elbow, but my shoulder felt like my arm was pointing straight up in the air. I tried to flex my fingers, but my fingers didn't move. It still felt like I was pointing towards the sky, but my hand remained flat on the road. It was really a weird sensation. Also, my left wrist hurt and I couldn't move my fingers on my left hand, so I knew that my left hand was broken somewhere as well. I knew that both my arms hurt like hell, but because of the adrenaline or some other reason, the pain wasn't nearly as bad as it probably should have been. When the police and the ambulance arrived, the first thing they did, which is something that is standard in every Korean vehicle accident, was to paint the outline of the truck. They spray painted the outline of my bike where it was, and I remember them mucking around and spray painting the outline of my body. It was sort of like a crime scene body outline like you see on TV. The next thing was the ambulance driver, the EMT, and the policeman wondering how to get big old me onto the gurney and into the back of the ambulance. Eventually, and with no small amount of jolting my broken arms, they managed to get me onto the very narrow gurney and into the back of the ambulance. Now, at this point, it must be understood that Korean ambulances are not like ambulance in America. Ambulances are not these big, huge, spacious, fully equipped mobile trauma centers. Korean ambulances are more like old Volkswagen minivans. They're very narrow, very old, and in generally very poor condition. It was my intention to go to Busan National University Hospital which is approximately 20 minutes away from the accident site in normal traffic. However, due to the fact that the ambulance I was in had no suspension whatsoever, I felt every bump, every pothole, every rock, every cigarette butt, and every gust of air. This made me extremely uncomfortable. Because of this discomfort, I had no choice but to ask the ambulance driver to take me to a closer hospital, and the closest hospital was Hedong Hospital. A quick backstory for those who don't know. Almost exactly 4 years ago, I was involved in another motorcycle accident that left me with a shattered femur in my right thigh. I was treated for that accident in Hedong Hospital. They put a titanium plate and 15 screws in my right thigh. After 5 weeks in the hospital, I was released. 6 days after my release, the titanium plate broke. I had to return to Hedong Hospital, where they opened up my thigh, removed the broken plate, did various surgical procedures, and replaced the broken plate with a longer, wider, thicker titanium plate. And my theories as to why the titanium plate broke, and filed a malpractice lawsuit against the hospital and the doctor that performed the surgery. After lengthy negotiations, we reached a settlement that I was slightly less happy with, but I could live with. Fast forward back to the date of this current accident, I arrived in Hedong Hospital and was wheeled into the emergency room. The emergency room physicians confirmed that I had broken arm above the elbow on my right arm and my left wrist was broken. I finally had a chance to look at my left wrist and knew immediately what had happened because I had suffered nearly exactly the same break when I was in junior high school. I knew exactly how it felt and looked. The doctor confirmed that I suffered a compression fracture on my wrist, which basically meant that I had completely destroyed my wrist joint and the two bones in my forearm had pushed up and past the bones in my wrist. So, my wrist was actually below the two bones on my arm. Emergency room doctors set out to do x rays. I won't get into how uncomfortable it was to manipulate my broken right arm to take x rays, but I will suffice to say it was extremely painful. After the x rays, I was wheeled back to the emergency room, where the emergency room physician told me that due to the swelling in my right arm, in my right wrist, after the x rays, I was wheeled back to the emergency room, where the emergency room physician told me that due to the swelling in my wrist and arm, it would not be possible to perform the surgery until the swelling had decreased. He said that surgery would most likely take place on the following Monday, which was 2 days after the accident. I asked him why this was the case, and he explained that if you perform the surgery while the arms were swollen, then it makes it harder to stretch the skin over the swollen arm to close the injury, which can lead to a much greater risk of infection. They wheeled me up the eighth floor and into a private room. The eighth floor is where I spent my 2 stints in the hospital for my broken femur 4 years previously. In fact, it was next door to the room I was in last time I was at Hedong Hospital. The head nurse was the same person, and she recognized me. Also, one of the nurses from my previous visit was still working there, and she recognized me as well. They both but they both expressed their concerns that I was back in the hospital. The nursing staff kept me comfortable during the weekend. They advised me that the physician who would be performing my surgery would visit me on Monday. Imagine my surprise when Monday morning rolled around and the doctor walked into my room, and he was the doctor that I had filed my medical malpractice suit against. Awkward. After a few uncomfortable moments and some even more uncomfortable small talk, he advised that my arm and wrist were still too swollen to do the surgery on that day. He said that they would give me medicine to help the swelling go down as early as possible, but that it would be at least Wednesday before the surgery could be performed. It made me exactly it made me extremely unhappy that I would have to wait for 5 days after the accident to have my broken limbs repaired. But what was I to do? Tuesday evening, the nurse stopped by to tell me that my surgery would take place the following morning, and that I was not to eat or drink anything from that time forward. Just before I settled down and went to sleep, the doctor came in and told me there was a problem. He said that there was a special tube that they needed to insert into my throat to keep me from breathing after I was placed under anesthetic, but that they didn't have that particular tube at the hospital at that time. My first question was why they didn't have it at the hospital. He replied that they had sent it out to be replaced a couple of weeks earlier, but that it had not been replaced yet. My next question was how did how they did surgery on other people without that particular tube. I was told that generally when doing surgery on Koreans, they used a smaller tube, but it was necessary to use a larger tube for me. I took that to mean that they could probably use the same tube that they use for everybody else, but he wanted to do the surgery as properly as possible and wanted to use the best equipment in light of our earlier lawsuit. I asked how long it would take to get the equipment back at the hospital. The doctor told me it would take approximately 2 more weeks. I sputtered something about it being utterly ridiculous to expect me to lay in my bed with two broken arms for 2 more weeks to await surgery. I told him that I would be transferring to another hospital the next day. The doctor seemed visibly relieved by this decision. I asked him what hospital he would recommend that I go to. He said that any university level hospital would be sufficient. He went on to tell me that I had to understand that because my injuries were not life-threatening and not considered an emergency, I would likely not be able to receive surgery immediately at the new hospital, and I would probably have to wait until the doctor assigned to my case had free time in his schedule to perform the surgery. I asked him to recommend the hospital that would perform the surgery the quickest. He said that he did not have any connections with the other doctors at other hospitals that would allow him to order them to treat me any faster than they could, or even to request that they treat me as fast as they could. He said that the only hospital that really would provide him with an opportunity to politely ask that they try to see me as swiftly as possible would be Pusan National University Hospital. I said that I would go to the hospital and ask him to make the arrangements as quickly as possible. The next morning, Wednesday morning, the doctor came to my room and advised me that there was yet another problem. He said that from that morning until the end of the week, all the anesthesiologists, wow, I can say that word, all of the anesthesiologists in the country were attending a major conference, and that the anesthesiologists who remained at the hospitals were only working on patients who were life-threatening situations. The doctor told me that because my situation was not considered life-threatening, I would possibly not be able to have my surgery until the following Monday, 9 days after my accident, regardless of which hospital I transferred to. This made me extremely upset. I asked him which of the three particular hospitals would treat me the fastest in his estimation. One of my suggestions included the brand new and by Korean standard quite luxurious hospital, Beck Hospital in Haeundae, Busan, which was about 45 minutes away. He said that hospital would probably be my best bet for faster surgery. I told him to make the arrangement immediately. He said he would. Within a couple hours, I completed my checkup procedures and was being loaded onto yet another tiny little ambulance for the journey to the new hospital. The ambulance driver was going to take the inner city expressway, which would have taken a very long time to get me to the hospital. So, I suggested that he drive through town, go through a particular tunnel, and cross the bridge that runs across the bay and leads right to the hospital's front door, which would take a much shorter time than the route they had planned. They complimented me on my brilliant idea. Unfortunately, they decided to try to improve on my idea. They decided that they would take a shorter route to the tunnel. I didn't notice this until I looked out the window of the ambulance and saw that we weren't where I thought we should have been. I asked where we were going, and they told me they were taking the pier road to the tunnel. I specifically did not want to go on this road because I knew that it was under major construction and that there were potholes, bumps, train tracks, and various other obstacles along this road. As such, I was forced to endure perhaps the bumpiest ride that could be conceived by the human brain. Eventually, we reached the new hospital. As we pulled into the driveway up to the emergency room, the ambulance driver commented, "Wow, this is what a hospital looks like." I was wheeled into the emergency room and was pleased to note that they were awaiting my arrival. The emergency room staff was friendly, helpful, and very professional. They took excellent care of me. They made me as comfortable as possible. However, that was all to end too soon. So the doctor came and told me that they would have to take new x-rays and perform a CT scan on both limbs. They wheeled me into the x-ray room and took the x-rays as carefully as they possibly could. The next stop was to the CT room, where they did their best to not hurt me any more than they had to. After those steps were complete, they wheeled me back to the emergency room to await the doctor's further opinion. The doctor came and said that my left wrist was not that badly broken and probably should have been treated immediately after the accident by simply resetting the bone and wrapping my hand in a cast. However, because 5 days had elapsed since the accident, the bone had started to heal again, and they would have to re-break it before setting it again. I said that would be no problem and told him to shoot me up with painkillers and anesthetic and then go on with the procedure. He informed me that it had to be done without the benefit of anesthetic. He went on to tell me that it was more dangerous not to use anesthetic because my arm would be dead, and they wouldn't have the benefit of my screams to tell them how much they were moving the arm. They wheeled me into the emergency surgery room, and told me that they were sorry for what they were about to do to me. One guy grabbed my left bicep, and the other guy grabbed my left forearm in one hand and my left hand in his other hand. The second guy then proceeded to twist and pull my wrist until he heard it snap and me scream. He said it was done and wrapped me up. He then sent me off to a new round of x-rays to determine whether it could be set by hand or would require surgery. After examining the x-rays, the doctor decided it would be worth trying to set my hand without surgery. I asked him how that was done. He said it was done the same way as re-breaking my arm, but backwards. In other words, they would hold my arm and he would pull my arm and try to force the bone back into place. Again, using my screams to determine how well things were going. That was a horrible procedure and equally as painful as having it rebroken. He then sent me for another round of x rays. After examining the x rays, he determined that the wrist hadn't been set well enough and that I would, in fact, have to have surgery. So, as it turned out, it was not necessary for me to go through the pain of having it reset by hand. Oh well, nice try. The doctor told me about the anesthesiologist situation. He said they would get me into surgery as soon as possible, but he didn't know if it would be that day or the next day. He did guarantee that I wouldn't have to wait 5 more days to get my arm set. They began procedures of arranging for me to have a room in the hospital. By now, it was getting late in the day. It was about 4:30 p.m. Unexpectedly, the doctor came over and told me that the anesthesiologist had decided to stay around and perform my surgery that day. Luckily, I had not eaten anything since the night before, so there was no problem with waiting for me to digest food in my stomach. They immediately began preparing me for surgery. Soon, I was wheeled into the operating room and hooked up to numerous machines, tubes, and needles. They told me that the procedure would begin shortly. I asked who the head anesthesiologist was and was introduced to the man. I thanked him profusely for for accepting, nope, for agreeing to perform my surgery that day. He seemed genuinely touched that I would take time to say that to him. With those niceties out of the way, the anesthesiologist opened the valve on one of the tubes. Anesthetic flowed into my veins, and it was lights out. I awoke several hours later in my spacious private room, and the doctor stopped by a short while later and explained that they had the steel plate in my left wrist and they had put 2 plates in my right arm, one on each side of the humerus, which is the bone that runs from the elbow to the shoulder. I left the hospital a week after surgery. Now, I'm in the process of slowly recovering. My left wrist is a little bit swollen, and joints is still very stiff. My right arm is what is causing the concern. The break in my right arm was an inch or two above the elbow joint. This is a very unusual and dangerous place to break to occur. This is because the radial nerve into the hand runs directly across the location of the break. The radial nerve is the nerve that controls the extension of the fingers and the rising of the wrist. The doctor said it was extremely lucky not to sever the nerve or damage the nerve covering. However, in the course of placing 2 steel plates in my arm, they couldn't help but move the nerve and do some minor bruising to the nerve. As a result of the uh, concussion or contusion or bruising of the nerve, my right hand remains about 60% paralyzed, and I have sensation of only about 50% of the back of my right hand. I can lower my wrist and to curl my fingers. However, I cannot raise my wrist or fully extend my fingers. The doctors assured me that the feelings and motion will eventually return to my hand, but that it could take anywhere from 1 to 4 months. It's only been 3 weeks and a couple of days since the accident, but I'm becoming very impatient for the use of my right hand. As it stands now, because my right hand is mostly paralyzed, I can only type with the index finger of my right hand. Also, because the joint is so stiff in my left wrist, and because it hurts to bend it in the position of the keyboard, I can only type with my left index finger. Thus, I do 2-finger hunt and peck typing. This makes my arm and wrist tired and painful. Thankfully, I made the smart decision to buy the Dragon Naturally Speaking software, which allows me to speak into a microphone and watch my voice be converted to text. I am completely satisfied with this program. In fact, it's actually more accurate and much faster than my actual typing. I fully intend to continue using the software even after I'm healed. The road to recovery, the road to recovery will be long. However, I will get through it. As far as compensation goes, I'm very lucky. Thankfully, the delivery truck driver was insured in just about every way possible. Even better, the truck driver's insurance company is one of my law firm's major clients. And then, even better than that, I am very well acquainted to the insurance adjuster that is being assigned to handle my accident. He's taking very good care of me and actually doing more than is required for him. So, if everything continues this way, then I should be able to get through this without having to file a lawsuit. But if I have to, at least I know I have a good lawyer. Ha! This should suffice to let you all know what happened to me over the past 3 weeks. Drive safely, and please, please watch out for motorcycles. The end. That was the 8-page story that Dad wrote about his accident. His second accident. Yeah. Oh, as a person that is in pain 24/7, I know what it's like hitting bumps on the road when I'm having a bad day. Ugh. You're reading it like it's your bedtime stories. Hey, it could be one of my bedtime stories. Who knows? I wouldn't trust this doctor. Yeah. What is this? Yeah. Like I said, it's the story that Dad wrote about his accident. I would ask the nurse for a recommendation. Maybe they could have had better um, recommendation, but pretty much university level hospital is like the highest level there is available, so the doctor recommended good. I had less traumatic experience with my father. Oh, sounds like they should transfer LV to another hospital. The ambulance driver does not know what a hospital looks like. That's disconcerting. So, Head Hospital is a very, very, very old hospital. And the hospital that he got taken to is one of the newest built hospital in Busan. So he was just mesmerized by the modern hospital that was built. That's what he was surprised about. And Korea has better healthcare system. Okay, right. This was 15 years ago. He still complimented the Korean healthcare system after that. Yeah, yeah, because there. So he had to go to a head-on hospital because he had no other choice. He was in such a bad state that he had no choice but to go to one of the oldest hospital in Busan. But with the hospitals that are equipped with everything that can be equipped with, it's awesome. Great healthcare. Seriously. Nobody tell Connor what Jess brother said about the numb right hand. I don't want to know, and I think I already heard the story, but I don't want to know. I remember when you just started your channel, and when I said you should read, you poo-pooed my idea because you didn't like to read. You're amazing. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks for the push. How about that? Thanks, Connor. That was riveting and infuriating. No problem, Mary Jane. I got you. And Jules, welcome to Big Vices. I appreciate the support. We like to chill. We like to hang out, play games, maybe be chaotic every once in a while. But most importantly, we like to enjoy each other's company. Welcome to the Big Vices, and thank you again for the support. 15 years ago was not long ago. Yeah, but within 15 years, Korea has changed a lot. Like tech wise and by by every wise. It changed for the better. Uh Thank you for reading that. I knew Jeff was strong because of his first motorcycle accident and surgery, but damn, this is another level. Oh yeah. And I remember visiting dad after elementary school, just going to the hospital saying, "Hey, dad, what's up?" Oh, but yeah, my mom struggled a lot during that time too because she was taking care of him as well at the hospital. So she was a trooper as well. Uh, Like my mom had a hard time taking care of him, and she did. And I was just there on the bench next to the bed. Hi, Dad. I'm back from school. What's up? Uh, but yeah, that was the story. And King Bob, thank you for the one Vice baby gifted membership. Oh, come on, Red Queen received the gift member by King Bob. If you're lurking about here, please say thank you to King Bob and welcome to the squad. Ah, so what's going for the rest of the week? For me, tomorrow will be the usual. Did you speak both languages at home? Yep. Mostly, mostly English, but I did speak both languages. With dad, of course, I only spoke English, but with mom, I spoke both Korean and English. Ah, let's see, calendar. Tomorrow, I'll be doing the same thing, and Friday as well. We'll be doing the morning. I'll probably do the morning driving stream after I finish work, and also I'll be doing the morning Maritime Monday show. And tomorrow, I guess I'll be doing crocheting because this Lego build will go to the trash. How often do you go back to Korea? I don't. I don't go back to Korea often. Uh, when I went to Korea to deal with that stuff, that was my first time in 6 years. Connor, did you go to an English speaking school? So I went to Korean school until the first semester of my first year in middle school. After that, I transferred over to international school, which dad was the chairman, and I was there for 3 years, and then I moved here, my sophomore year of high school. So I went to English speaking school for 3 years. But yeah, Denise, I should go back more often, but I don't have the money, I don't have the time, and yeah, this this was the first time in 6 years that I was in Korea. So, but yeah, so tomorrow early morning is drive stream and Maritime Monday, and learn how to crochet. Attempting to learning how to crochet stream. Same thing Friday, and also Friday I'll be on panel with Nick Starro for his birthday birthday stream. I'll be doing that. I believe that will be 5 p.m. Eastern that he's doing it. Let's see. Yep, 5 p.m. Eastern is Nick Starro's birthday stream. I'll be on there. I'm going to call out of work and so I can join. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll hop over to Experts FNL if I get an invite to that. And ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce that this coming Saturday, the 3rd, right? Yep, the 3rd, is the very first episode of my twist on Fuck It Friday, the Screw It Saturday. Pretty much the same concept as Fuck It Friday. I'll send out links to people probably on tomorrow. Um, I'll be making a Wheel of Misfortune or Wheel of Regrets. I'll probably buy a couple more bottles of alcohol. Actually, here, I'll let me bring out my collection real quick. Oh. La 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 la. La la la. Okay. So, I have a Black Heart Premium Spiced Rum, 93 proof. It contains rum with spice, caramel, color, and other natural flavors, 46.5% alcohol per volume. I have the Svedka vodka. I almost finished it, but I guess I'll, depending how Saturday goes, I'll maybe finish it or not. Who knows? Um, I have the Black Feather American Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 93% alcohol per volume, right there. I might buy a different vodka as well, because there's a vodka called, I think it's Reka. It's an Icelandic vodka, and I found one. I hope it's still there. I also have this Ardbeg single malt Scotch whiskey, 10-year. Beautiful. This is my favorite freaking whiskey ever. Love it. And Felisa would be annoyed by dead air. Who? Also, there's the Bozal Mezcal. Absolutely disgusting drink. And I'm using Screwed Saturday as an opportunity to finish it, I guess. How much is left in there? Looks like left less than half a bottle is left. But it's absolutely disgusting, so I'll be putting this on the Wheel of Regrets. And I also have Jack Daniels that my roommate's brother left when he visited. Yeah. Take a swig? Nope. I will pass. Thank you. Thanks for offering. Oh, and I also have Korean alcohol, soju. That's 26, 24, 26%. But yeah, I'll probably buy a couple more bottles here and there. So what I will do is, because it's the first one, I don't think a lot of people will be joining, or a lot of people will be tuning in. So I'll do every $25. I don't know how you have all this. Just buy it. So every $25, I'll do the spin on the Wheel of Records. I'll have stuff like uh Korea's spiciest ramen. I'll have olives. I hate olives with a passion. I hate olives. I hate olives. They taste fucking stupid. I'd rather drink a whole bottle of this than eat olives. So I'll have that on the Wheel of Regrets. I know it's a weird thing, but I hate olives. I hate olives. I'll have this mezcal, and I'll probably have like some spicy ass chilies. So, $25 every $25 will be that. Also, um, I'll have shots of all the alcohols that I have in that wheel. Make sure you have your room ready for a possible scenario of recovery from alcohol abuse. Yeah. And then just I have black olives, but I just hate olives in general. I don't care if it's black or green olives. I hate olives. So I have sliced black olives. I'll probably buy. You know what? I'll buy some whole black olives and then eat those. Ugh. I got chills just thinking about it. I just barely got the chills just for thinking. Ugh. Uh-uh. So every $25, I'll spin the wheel. Hopefully it's shots. If not, I guess I'll suffer from spicy ramen, spicy chili peppers, stupid mezcal. And then $50 super chat. So straight up $50. You can choose what shot I take. So the $25 one is cumulative. So 25 total. Every $25, I'll spin the wheel. $50 straight up will be your choice of shot that I take. Never ate an olive and never will knowingly have used olive oil. Don't know if that counts as having an olive. Nah. I don't think it does, because olive oils is different. I cook with olive oil. It's different. You have to put olives in the shot. No. If it's like a stupid amount of super chat, then I'll probably do a mixed drink of what that person wants me to mix. But $50 super chat is a shot of your choice that I take, and every $25 worth of super chat will be spin on the wheel. I have a list of people that I'm gonna send the link to. I'll be testing out my very first time doing Talk Studio on Streamlabs. That'll be fun. I know it works because I tested it out. So I'll be doing that. What else was I gonna say? I'll have to pregame big time. I'm gonna tell my roommate to find a ride home because I'll take her to school, but I'm not gonna bring her back. I'll be. I tried making wine, but couldn't get the alcohol down. We joked that my hooch would have been a gold mine during Prohibition. God, yeah. Oh yeah. But I'll find some more. I'll find one more bottle of vodka. Hopefully, the place that I found the Reka at still have the bottle. What are going to have on standby to quench your thirst? Water. Just plain old water. But yeah. I'll have like I'll have water big time. I'll be hydrated as a mofo. But yeah, I'll have to pregame for it. Ugh. I'm nervous, but it'll be fun. It's just it's gonna be like this, just talking with with each other, but there'll be guests and for content wise, like what we'll read through, I don't know. Celestial Force did send me a cool email. I'm gonna open up that website, I guess, on that stream. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that's it for this week. I'm not gonna my oh, I'm gonna suffer on Sunday. I know that. Water and ice. Yeah. I'll have lots of water. Before I start the stream, I'll have a stupid amount of grease food. Yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully it turns out good. If not, oh well, it's the first time doing it. So, that's the break that's the breakdown for this week. So, obviously, by doing that, I think it's safe to say that the late night live reading of Megan Fox's book will not happen this Saturday. Because I will be recovering. Live and learn, exactly. Live and learn. Ah, save that. Okay, so this is the end. But you can read it. I I stopped before saying anything because I was thinking about what if I just live read it drunk. But I'm like, I don't think it's a great idea. So I'll just cancel it and recover. And I'll probably do it on. You know what? We'll see how I feel like, but expect it to be canceled. Or I can do it on Sunday. I can do a Sunday reading instead. But yeah, this is it, my friends. We have reached the end of the stream. Where would you guys like to go? Hangover reading? Oh god. Oh god, the hangover. I don't even want to think about that. I had one hangover in my life, and that was my very first time drinking at a legal age. So it looks like, wow, a lot of people are doing Karen Reed. We can go to Slug, we can go to Squid, we can go to Mrs. Flux. She's playing Monster Hunter right now. We can go to Dolly Talk. He's doing Judge Simpson. Want to go to Danny? Is that where everyone's agreeing to go? Oh yeah. Time for the Screw it Sunday. I mean, screw it Saturday. I'm gonna try to do it. I'm gonna start in the morning, and I'm gonna go as long as I can, I guess. I think Danny is still alive. Yeah. Let's see. Danny on direct. Yep, she is still alive. Cool. Then if I didn't know Mrs. Flux was playing, yeah. Mrs. Flux is playing Monster Hunter. Squid Pro Crow is doing What the Hails. Slug is doing his coverage of whatever he's covering. Everyone else is doing Karen Reed. But you know what? Let's show Mrs. Flux some love. Exactly. Mrs. Flux needs subs. So I'll send you guys to Mrs. Flux because she's awesome like that. But thank you all for joining me in this Maritime Monday watch party session. I hope you guys have a beautiful morning, evening, night, wherever you are. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe before leaving if you guys like to see more of these content. It's going to be a fun week. Stay beautiful, stay lovely. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Well, that's all for this stream, but it's been so sweet. Thanks for hanging with us, it's been a treat. We'll keep it warm, keep it real, take it slow. Catch you next time when the vibes are ready to flow. If you enjoyed the ride, give us a like, subscribe for the warmth. Come back whenever you like. Until then, take it easy, don't rush, don't hurry. I'll be here waiting, no need to worry. Vice, baby, always by your side. Stay cozy, stay calm, let the good times ride. Peace for now, but we'll meet again. Take care, my friend. Until then.